Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see on the screen right now, this Saturday we will have our special, and I mean very special, 100K episode. I mean, hey, it don't get no better than 100K, right? Well, for you guys and our appreciation for you guys, we want to do a special episode where we have every single show on the PC network go live during that day. And of course, it's going to start with, hey, Steve Javi, you can take this off the screen. It's going to start with everybody up here. We're going to start with the panel from 8 to 10. We're going to kick it off on Saturday. Or, I mean, if you're Eastern time, 11 Eastern time, we're going to kick it off. And then, we're going to run the whole day. We're going to do a whole marathon all day Saturday. Y'all make sure to tap in for the special 100K episode. What's up, fellas? How we living today?
Life is
great.
doing
great.
So it's
good.
It's good. Don't appreciate that you got me doing open gym at 2 a.m. on Saturday, but I got a sacrifice, I guess. It is what it is. We move and prosper. I do what I do for people.
We ain't hear you, Ron. Can't hear you, Ron.
Can't hear me.
You said something, Ron. We didn't hear you. Yeah, now you hot.
Oh no, I was lip syncing. Yeah. Hey, Morris. You prime time.
Yeah, that's right. No, I'm perfectly fine. I mean, I'm up anyway. Like, it is what it is. I'm just
okay.
2 a.m.
I'm just, I'm trying to let you and Dub be the stars that you are. You guys are the two biggest names on the network. I'm trying to, if you want me to put Chill and Ox up there, by all means we can.
Well, Dub's big time by association. But
can we make that clear?
It's by association.
Clay, Pippen,
Draymond,
Jamal Murray. Is he Jamal Murray?
No, because Jamal Murray had those big playoff games. He's like, if I
so apparently, Dub, you ain't really that nice.
He's like, I'm like Kobe, and he's like Lamar Odom.
So Lamar was a dog, but
he was the second best. He was the second best player on the team.
Dub is a beast.
But we all knew that really it was a one-man team. That's how it really is.
So apparently, am I hearing this correctly, Dub? You ain't really that nice. You only nice because you running with homeboy. You ain't really that nice. Is that what I'm understanding?
He didn't even call you championship Lamar. He called you 07 Lamar Odom.
Yeah,
he said you're only the second best player because Kwame Brown here.
What is happening? What is happening right now? Oh my God!
Shout out to Dub there. I mean, I still need my Lamar Odom. I still need my Lamar Odom.
Speaking of Jamal,
kick somebody Murray, down and build him up. That's crazy.
Speaking of Jamal Murray, I don't know if y'all noticed, but you know what I'm saying, later on, me and Mr. Mass, we got a debate later on, 4 p.m. my time. Jamal Murray has something to do with it, man. Y'all come check that out.
Where at?
Check that out. We're gonna do it on Mookie's channel.
All right.
He got a new debate league going on, so I got Mr. Mass today.
All right.
Okay. Hey, real quick. I had this question popping on the community on Twitter, and people got mad at me because of my loose usage of the word. So I have to ask y'all. This is the best basketball platform to have these kind of debates, in my opinion. So let me ask y'all: what is the definition of a generational player, and what makes a player generational in your opinion?
Well, it has to be someone you only see once in a generation. You can't have like 4 generational players in the same mold. Like, then you're not really generational. You're just
why not, Morris?
Because if you have 4 players who play very similarly, they're not all generational. In my opinion.
I can name you 4 generational talents from the 2000s and the 2010s.
Who play the exact same.
No.
That's why I said you can't be in the same mold as someone else and be generational. Then you're just
so as long as you're different molds, you could.
Yeah, you can be generational
talents.
Yeah, you can be generational at different aspects. You can be one's a generational defender, one's a generational scorer, one's a generational offensive player, blah blah blah. But you can't just be like, oh, these 2 great isolation scorers. They're both generational. I mean, then you just got 2 generational guys in one generation. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
So like in the 2010s,
I don't even know if what I'm saying is making sense.
No. I feel you. No. I feel you. It makes sense. It's like in the 2010s, if somebody was saying, "Yo, John Wall, Westbrook, and Derrick Rose, all generational point guards," it's like, right, like no, somebody, only one of them can be that.
Yeah, you're throwing them all athletic point guards that all generational. No, they're not. That's what I'm trying to get at. So I think like for this generation, like the 2010s, Steph, KD, LeBron. That's it. They're the generational players. 2020s, Giannis, Jokic, and like Luka, maybe. That's it.
That's fair. I rock with that one.
So I gotta go back to the 2000s right quick, and I got it. Well, actually, you go ahead, Chill, because I'm gonna ask a bunch of questions, and I'm gonna give you players, and I need to know if they're generational. You go ahead.
Questions about KD. And
I just think that whenever you get to a generation, who starts this? So, for example, when Chamberlain showed up, there was nothing like Chamberlain. When Chamberlain showed up, as big as he was, as athletic as he was, as skilled as he was, well, then you get to, and now this is what the big man is. So the game is molded around the big man. So then you move forward to Jabbar, who's basically going to be an extension of what Chamberlain was. So this is the next generation of big man, what Jabbar is. And then in the middle of the 70s, well, Doc shows up and he's this super freak athlete. And this is what the NBA is going to look like in the next 10 to 15 years. It's going to be a bunch of 6'6" to 6'9" super freak athletes running around. So then you add in Jordan, right? Then you add in Dominique Wilkins. And then you move forward to the next generation of these guys. So when I think about a generational talent, I think about a guy who is the mold of what it was before him, and now he's advancing that.
I like that. So would you so like throughout history, like I don't want to start with George Mikan, so we're just gonna go from Bill Russell and Wilt. So you got those two, then it would be Kareem, Dr. J, Magic, Bird, Mike, Shaq,
Olajuwon,
Hakeem. Would we consider Duncan generational?
I do, and the reason why I consider Duncan generational is because it's not just offensively, it's what you do on the defensive side of the basketball too, like how you affect the basketball game. So Duncan, who was an extension of what Olajuwon was, Duncan, who was an extension of what Jabbar was defensively. Now he becomes that. Same thing with, I mean, and it could also be positional too, Mars. So when you think about the 4-man, right, and it's not a guy that you're very fond of, but the 4-man was the dirty work guy. Well, then Malone shows up, and now the 4-man, you run the offense through the 4-man. That's a generational talent. And then you moving forward, who's going to be an extension of what Malone is? KG. So now we got an athletic 4-man in KG who's pushing the game out a little bit further, also cleans glass, right? Also defends at a high level. So you got a 2-guard in Michael Jordan and then Kobe Bryant, who's going to be an extension of that. I don't think we've seen that yet, but that's kind of the idea.
So is Malone and KG also generational?
Yes. At that position, yes.
KG was the one guy.
One more time.
Would Dirk be generational?
I do. I think Dirk is generational from an offensive standpoint. Yes, because he advanced the game consistent with his height. Like now, this is okay. You could play a 6'10", 6'11" guy on the perimeter primarily. Like before, you couldn't really do that. You had to have a guy that big play closer to the basket. Well, Dirk comes in with the skill set that Dirk comes in with, and we can run our offense through this guy where we can play him on the perimeter and create all kinds of mismatches. Well, now what that does is that completely changes offenses, how we design offenses, because now I got a big guy that I can run the offense through on the perimeter.
I agree. Yeah, Dirk's probably generational too. That's probably like 15 generational players in history. I'd probably say around that.
Man, a generational player, like we're saying, is like LeBron, Steph, Kobe, guys like that. Guys like that, what you'll never forget. You know what I'm saying? Guys that'll always be enriched in your memory as far as what they did on the court, and then their piece of the game. Guys we always gonna talk about in the history of the game. The guys like Tim Duncan, those guys. Like I'm gonna tell you a guy who's not a generational player, and everybody might think he is, James Harden, because 20 years from now, people ain't gonna be talking about James Harden like that. They're not gonna care about his career. You know what I'm saying? They're not. But see, here's a crazy part about it. T-Mac is one, because we still talk about T-Mac to this day, and he's relevant and prevalent, and he will be for years to come. You know what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? And that's crazy. But guys like James Harden aren't. Russell Westbrook.
Hold on a second. You think James Harden is less generational than Tracy McGrady? In what aspect do you think that?
No, I'm just saying, based off the way we talk about, bro, we're 20 years, we're almost all these years removed from T-Mac being in his prime years
right,
and in his career. We still talk about it on a regular basis. We're not going to be talking about James Harden like that 20 some years from now. They're not going to be talking about James Harden like that, bro. I'm telling you, bro. I listen. Sometimes.
And why do you think that is? Why you think we talking about? Why you think we still be talking about Tracy McGrady? Would it be because of his game, or would it be because?
Bro, it's like if he would have went on and won a championship or something like that and revolutionized the game the way they was playing with Mike D'Antoni, we would have been talking about him. But he didn't. My whole thing is, bro, is that when you look at stuff like this, man, and when you look at different players, hey, Webin, come on, sing a little bit. When you look at different players, man, I look at guys like sometimes I don't even know if we're gonna talk about Russ in 20 years. They might talk about the quadruple doubles when it comes up. We might talk about it because we still talk about Oscar Robertson from time to time. You know what I'm saying? So, and we brought him up when we was talking about the triple doubles, but I just think, man, like players like Steph, we always gonna talk about him for what he did for the game. Players like
Kobe. Do you think Paul Pierce? Do you think Paul Pierce is generational? Just quick.
No.
So you don't think Paul Pierce is generational, but you think T-Mac is?
No. Yes, because you got to understand, T-Mac had more of a. T-Mac was more. It's not only just basketball. It's also what you're doing for the culture. T-Mac was something for the culture when he came out. You know what I'm saying? People was rocking with guys like T-Mac. Like, for example, I get on y'all about Penny Hardaway. Penny Hardaway is a generational talent. He only had a small part of his career. Him and Grant Hill, we still talk about them to this day. Those guys will always be cemented in history because of the other things they brought to the game, not just they play. So when we think about generational talent, in my opinion, and generational players, we talking about players that we're going to talk about forever and forever and forever. They're just going to come up in the top of conversations. You know what I'm saying? The guys like I just told you, they don't. Like, we rarely talk about guys like, and we should talk more about, but we rarely talk about guys who average 20 and 10 for like 8 years, like Antonio McKnight. We won't talk about him. He not no generational player, even though he had a great NBA career. We don't talk about.
I'm glad you brought that up, Ticket. I'm glad you brought that up.
We don't talk about certain dudes like Kevin Johnson. We don't really talk about KJ that much. KJ had like almost 8 years. We averaging 20 and almost 10. We won't talk about him.
I was at breakfast talking to KJ about KJ the other day. This
I'm glad you brought that up.
Bob. I'm saying you. I'm talking about.
I know what you're saying. I was just throwing it.
Like for example, Bob. Here's the one thing you know, because you be overseas. Like, you can go in any country. Like, I'm in DR right now, right? And I was just talking. This little boy came up to me yesterday and was asking me about Giannis, Steph, all this stuff. I'm like, yo, you know all them players? This little boy, like 8 years old. He's like, yeah. He was telling me. I was like, damn, they know about these people all over the world. Like, LeBron's in Puerto Rico right now. He went to Puerto Rico, everybody going crazy. You know what I'm saying? When you a generational player like that, they know you worldwide. You move things. As much as I dislike KD, he's generational. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you this question. I'm glad you brought that up, Ticket, because I want to expand on what you just mentioned. So, can you be a generational talent, but somebody be a better basketball player than you?
Yeah. I told you it's more than just a game, bro. It's everything that come with it, man. It's everything that come with it, bro. It's what you brought. It's other aspects of what you bring into the game too. What you bring into the culture of basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like AI didn't just bring the game. He brought a culture to the game. So he forever going to be a generational player. That's why I said with T-Mac, it wasn't just if it was just about T-Mac's game and his accomplishments, he might not should be talked about the way we talk about some of these other guys, but we do. Because of what he meant to the game when he was playing basketball. Everybody was seeing him as it was Kobe and him in the league. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was seeing it like that. When you said Paul Pierce, like Draymond said, I hate to say this shit because I hate Draymond Green, bro. Like, ain't nobody finna do no farewell tour for you, bro. You ain't finna get no farewell tour. And I love Paul Pierce. I love Paul Pierce as a basketball player, but
that's because Paul Pierce retired a little too late, though. Ticket. I think Paul Pierce should have retired two seasons prior to that. I think he probably would have got a little bit more love.
But he's still the player guys latched to, though. People didn't lash to Paul Pierce like that, bro. They didn't lash to Paul Pierce like they lashed to T-Mac, like they lashed to Kobe, like they lashed to Vince. All those guys, people was latching to those guys. They could relate to those guys. They was wearing those guys' shoes. You couldn't go nowhere and be caught dead wearing a pair of Paul Pierce troops. I'm just saying. Nobody outside.
I had all the T-Macs. I had all the T-Macs.
Big Ox does.
Threes, all of them. So,
are we talking about Paul Pierce different if he bows out after they lose to the Heat in 2013? Are we talking about him different? If he doesn't go to Brooklyn,
I think that's too early.
Okay.
I think we're talking about him different if he just didn't say the dumb stuff he said on TV in recent years. I think that's what's left a sour taste in a lot of people's minds, especially people who haven't watched Paul Pierce. And they hear him say, "Oh, I'm better than D-Wade."
I wasn't even mad at Paul Pierce for saying that.
That's why a lot of people dislike.
I wasn't mad at Paul Pierce. I wasn't mad at Paul Pierce. Like, no,
I was.
I got D-Wade over Paul Pierce. I got D-Wade over Paul Pierce, but that's not even a knock to D-Wade. Paul Pierce was him. Paul Pierce was that guy. That's why his name is the truth. Paul Pierce was like that. He probably, sometimes it's just not necessary to say certain things. But Paul Pierce had something left in the tank when he was at Washington. I think if he wouldn't have what happened, fractured his wrist, I think they might have made it to that next step in the playoffs. Paul Pierce had a little more left in the tank.
Bob,
when was Paul Pierce drafted?
He was drafted in
98.
Hey, look,
so you also got to understand too, when Paul Pierce was in the league doing his thing and D-Wade came in as a rookie, Paul Pierce was looking at D-Wade like, you the little homie. Like, you look up to me. You know,
little homie want to chip before you.
I'm already him. And that's a fact. No, D-Wade came in the league and got busy right away. But at the same time, no, Paul Pierce look at D, and that's why he be saying the things he say about LeBron as well. Because he like, yo, LeBron, my little homie. Yes, they're better than him, but at the same time, Paul Pierce was still dope enough and good enough to be like, yo, I was when y'all came into the league, I was better than y'all, and on top of that, I was still him while y'all was in the league.
Ron,
yes, you guys surpassed me, but I was still a man.
It's a different aura. Let me give you an example. More people now, the people that's like Damo probably know this too, like the people that's like 20, 22, 23, between 20 and 27, 28. They know Paul Pierce more from being on ESPN back when he was working on TV than they do from him playing. So let me give you an example. Like if you watch football a long time ago, I used to watch football a long time ago. People knew Shannon Sharp more from TV than they knew him from football. That extended him. That made him generational. Not only because of his game, he was a Hall of Fame football player, but he had to be on TV for people to really go back and appreciate what he brought to the game. But a guy like T.O. will never need TV. T.O. had the whole package. He had the game and he was must-see TV. So he's generational without having to ever do a day on TV, without having to keep himself relevant and in the light of the people. You see what I'm saying?
TV though. Isn't T.O. doing a little reality TV shows and stuff?
No, I'm talking about. Well, I'm just talking about I didn't see it. I
get what you're saying though, Ticket. I get what you're saying though.
Real quick, Ticket, you might want to lower that age a little bit to like 18 to 10 or something like that. I'm 26. I vividly remember Paul Pierce from playing like a cracked out Kyle Anderson. He was the truth. He was a tall. His moves was not fast at all, but he got to his spot. He was dogging people. I vividly remember him looking Al Harrington down in his face, dogging him, talking to him, walking him down. Gamed them. I remember that.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, it's like you gotta remember.
I watched it.
It's like what Tony Yayo told them dudes in the beef. He said, I've been around the world and your ass is still local. See what I'm saying? So you know him because you local. But he ain't known worldwide. He ain't known worldwide like that. Hold on. He ain't known worldwide like that. You can go listen, you can go to a kid right now in Brazil right now. And they know who Steph Curry is.
Shout out Brazil.
They know who LeBron is. They know who Kobe is. Paul Pierce could walk down the street in Brazil, and it's no disrespect. They won't even know who he is unless somebody tell them.
So this the thing. My bad. This is the thing, Ticket. I get what you're saying. There's a difference between Steph Curry and Paul Pierce, and I think so. I'm not trying to make the argument that Paul Pierce is generational, based on recognition and whatnot, but. When I'm talking about generational, I'm not talking about a popularity contest, though. I'm talking about generational talent.
No, I'm saying, but that's what that's about, though. No, that's what that's about.
Not a generational talent isn't popular.
No, I'm saying no, Bob.
Hold on, I get what you're saying, though. So if you look at it that way, there are certain guys that are just known worldwide. So yeah, if you look at it from that aspect, I could dig what you're saying. But I do believe, kind of like how you were saying, I think Paul Pierce maybe. What year is this? 23. So yeah, maybe 7 years ago, I think Paul Pierce is recognized everywhere. I think 10 years ago, Paul Pierce is recognized everywhere. Today, I think Paul Pierce is still recognized by people that's maybe my age and up. But the younger cats, I can agree with you. I hate to do this.
What you just said. Hold on, stay right there. That means, but Bob, stay right there, homie. that means you're not generational. Because when we say
T-Mac,
generation, hold on, let me say this to you. Hold on. Let me say this to you. Hold on. Let me say why. Let me say why. And I'm glad, Damo, this is an excellent question you brought up today. Because look at guys like Jordan. Generational is 20 years from now. Dudes that are born, that ain't even born right now, are gonna be saying Michael Jordan is the GOAT, and they ain't even lived through that era. It's dudes that's here today that was born that don't even know. Listen. So when we say generational, we're talking about, and it's gonna be dudes that's born 30 years from now saying LeBron is the GOAT, and they never watched LeBron's career. They just saw highlights and clips, and they'll go off of what the narrative was put out when they was born, because this is his time now that we in. So all I'm saying to you is that when we say generational, it don't just go through, you know what I'm saying, one decade or something like that. That's generations. That's something, that's somebody and something that has an effect for years and years and years and years and years to come, that will always be touched, that will always be felt, that will always be, you understand what I'm saying, the creme de la creme of what we have in our minds, not only as a basketball player, but what they brought to the entire game and to the entire culture. That's what I'm thinking about generational. Like if you say generational, you gotta be recognized worldwide. No, I'm saying, I'm saying, if you just saying talent, like for me, look, listen, Tim Duncan wasn't flamboyant, but he's generational. Everybody know who Tim Duncan is. Everybody know what he brought to the game.
Yes, you have to be. Yes.
So that's why I'm saying, 100%. Like,
because
not
of that generation, right. This is how we remember you. Yeah.
But it's always going to be guys like Chilltown.
Yeah.
It's always going to be guys like Chilltown that's around, that keep all these other dudes y'all don't be thinking about. And that's why I always say, like, guys like Chill and Fluent is a gift to basketball, because those dudes will always keep dudes like Oscar Robertson, Dr. J, they always keep talking about these dudes that everybody else will allow you to forget about. So you can go to all these other basketball shows, they won't talk about these guys. But a guy like Chilltown, he'll remind you what this dude brought to the game. He'll remind you what this guy brought to the game. That's why I love about the PC show. We talk about guys like Kareem. We talk about the Wilts. We talk about all of these different things. And I think that that's very important, that we continue to educate the young people on the history of the game of basketball. That way they don't get caught up in just thinking Paul George is the greatest player to ever play basketball. See what I'm saying?
All right, so I want to know what's the difference, because typically when you hear people talk about generational, it's always like, oh, this is a generational talent, this is a generational talent. So I don't like the recognition thing, because like with for instance with T-Mac and Kobe, they used to be in China. You know what I'm saying? They used to be in China. They used to get big sales in China. Some guys didn't have the marketing. So the generational talent, I'm not gonna put that into global recognition. You know what I'm saying? Because even a guy like Kevin Garnett, to me, who was hands down a generational talent, might not be as known worldwide as other guys just based on marketing and whatnot. There's a difference between being with Adidas and being with Nike. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
go ahead,
Big Op. I'm sorry.
What would be a generational player? What would be a generational player to you then? What would be like your definition of a generational player? What's generational to you?
To me, generational player is somebody that's doing things in his generation is the best guy. Like in my generation, he's the best scorer in my generation. Nobody could touch him when it gets to putting the ball in the basket. He's the most dominant of his generation. He's the best shooter of his generation. He's the best defender of his generation. To me, that's a generational talent. I think the definition is in the word, like, who you ran you were the best talent of your generation. I think that's all it is to me. It has nothing to do with global recognition.
Well, here's the difference with that, though, Big Ox. When you talk about global recognition, think about your family, for example. So your grandfather, let's say he wasn't able to go to college, but that's what the standard was during that generation. He wasn't able to go to college, but he worked hard. And then your father, he graduated high school. Now that's the generational standard, because he graduated high school. And he wasn't really able to see the world, but he got to be able to see a little bit of what was going on. Then you end up going to college and you graduate. Now you get to see the world. Now that's the standard for your generation. Everything that's going on in your family now, you get to see the world. You get to tell everybody, this is how we did things. This is how I did things. This is what's going on in the world. And now you're expanding your generation as opposed to what your pops did. what your grandfather did. So when you get a guy like Tracy McGrady, who expanded off what people did before him, what Alex English did before him, what Bernard King did before him, making him more global, making the game a bigger deal internationally, that makes you an even bigger generational talent because you expanded it, and now everybody knows about you. And now what that also does is it expands your game because people see you and they want to be that.
Yeah, I think that goes into more superstardom, where even all superstars aren't necessarily generational talents, though. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what me and Ticket was talking about, because I and Ticket just answered the question: Can a generational talent, can another guy be a better basketball player than this generational talent? And Ticket answered that question. Which
I got it flip flop though, Chitin. I feel like if you're the best, then you're the generational talent. But that doesn't mean I'm the most popular. You know what I'm saying? Just like with cars. You know what I'm saying? You might have a raggedy car, might be a jalopy under the hood, but you know what I'm saying? It's a Bentley. So that you getting all the praise. Oh, he got the Bentley. Little do you know that this Bentley is on its last leg. But you know what I'm saying? My Ford Taurus or whatever, you know what I'm saying? This is putting all the performances, getting me everywhere I need to go. I think the superstardom thing and the recognition is first of all, who are you signed to? Where are your endorsements coming from? Are you in that the best players don't always get the best have the best agents? You know what I'm saying? We know that a lot of it's politics and popularity.
I mean, Devon, how was Dame Dollar so long? He signed to Adidas.
Being recognized. Well, I'm not saying, you know, all I'm saying is that some people are marketed in different places more than other players. Some teams get played nationally or universally internationally on the streams and whatnot more than other players, and that does not mean that you're better. So a popularity contest does not mean that this is the best talent, because when we say generational talent, it's the word generational talent, not who do these kids over here in Zimbabwe know more. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Now I can appreciate that logic, but the difference with that though, Big Ox, is as a generational talent, you can't just have the tag generational talent and not produce. So these guys who are generational talents, there's a reason why they're being pushed to the forefront, because they're producing. We're not just going to put a guy out here who's good, no, and make people think that, well, you know, he's good, and if we put him out here enough, we start to think that this guy is better than what he is.
That's not true, Chitan. That's not true, Chitan. A lot. We've seen the media force guys in our face before they want anything. Like, this is the guy. Well, okay, can we wait till he wins? For instance, Jokic is a generational talent.
Right.
He's the best. He's one of the best bigs of his.
The most glaring ones, Wemby.
You know what I'm saying? Well, I want to give it to that. I want to get at that kid. I want to talk about guys that have been doing this for years. We've had them. Even James Harden. They was forcing James Harden. Oh, look at these triple step backs, and look how he jumps off of one leg and shoots. Well, he ain't win nothing yet. Why are y'all forcing us to believe that this is the best shooting guard of our generation when he hasn't accomplished anything yet? It's stuff like that. So I do have to disagree with that. So they definitely. The media, the big corporations, it's all business. So the big corporations, they're forcing these guys in front of us before they do anything. And if they do come through like Jokic came through for it though. Jokic, he's a champion now, so okay, he earned it. But to say that they won't just force guys in our face and on our TV and on our news feeds, I don't believe that.
Well, here's the difference with that though, Big Ox. When I'm talking about pushing guys to the forefront, I mean, this is the game. And we are marketing the game. And when I say generational talent, I am talking about guys who produce. Now, don't get me wrong. Winning an NBA championship is completely different than being a generational talent, because you can be a generational talent in different aspects. Like I just talked about with Mars. I am the generational talent moving forward as the four-man. KG was the generational talent moving forward as the four-man. Even though he hadn't won for 12 years, he still was the generational talent moving forward as the four-man. When you pushing these guys out to the forefront, you're pushing these guys out to the forefront for marketing purposes, but they still have to produce. Because I didn't win the NBA championship does not mean that I'm not a generational talent, because I'm still expanding the game. I'm still doing that. And don't get me wrong, Big Ox. There are guys that have been pushed forward. There have been guys that have been pushed forward where you're thinking, I think that you might have gotten it wrong with this guy. Maybe you should have pushed this guy in front of this guy because I think he might be a little bit better. But this guy might be better looking. This guy might be more marketable, stuff like that, which does make sense. But for the most part, when you're talking about a generational talent, you're talking about guys who that talent is there and they are producing, which is why they push to the forefront.
Well, Melo, see, I don't. If I did say that, I misspoke. I wasn't trying to say that you have to have one to be a generational talent. I disagree with that. I think Carmelo Anthony is a generational talent. He didn't win, So that I'm just talking. I'm talking strictly about talent when it comes to this conversation. It's like, this guy was so good at this or so good at that. He was the best of his generation, or one of the top 3 guys of his generation. He was a pure scorer. He's a generational scorer. Carmelo Anthony was a generational scorer, regardless of I don't think we can argue that. But he didn't win any rings. I just think when we're talking about talent, we don't got to talk about he can't be a generational because he didn't win. It's obvious who's the scorers and whatnot.
Right,
fellas. So I'm gonna ask you guys a good list of players. I need everybody to let me know if you believe that this player is generational or not. I'm gonna start in the 2000s. I'm gonna do some players from the teens, and I'm gonna do some current players. I do believe that the 2000s had the most generational talent that we've seen, but we'll start there and. Maybe my belief is correct. Maybe it's not. But I'm gonna just start with some obvious guys. If you guys have any objections, then say something. But I don't think it's gonna be any objections to these first couple guys. In the 2000s, obviously you got Kobe.
Yes, Kobe was a generational talent, 100%.
You got Shaq.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, and then we got Tim Duncan. Does anybody?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, I'm going Tim Duncan.
Okay. Now this is where things might start to change a little bit. All right. We got next person I'm gonna say is Allen Iverson.
I believe so.
Yes.
I think Allen was a generational talent. Because he brought something to the game. He brought something to the game that we hadn't seen. Like not just from a cultural standpoint. We also talking about a small guard who had done things that we hadn't seen. I mean, I remember the first time I saw that crossover, and I remember thinking to myself, man, that's dangerous. I don't know if I want to get close to that. You can get hurt. Like that wasn't something that was seen before. His game transcended all aspects of people. Like people started watching the game simply because it was Allen Iverson. When you got a guy like that where you love the game, but I want to see this dude because he might be a bigger deal than the game just because I want to see him. I think that's a generational talent.
Yeah, I've changed my definition of generational in the last 5 minutes just to listening to everyone. And AI was definitely generational to me.
Can you let us know your new definition before I go to the next player?
When you're summarizing an era or a generation, can you tell the story of that era without bringing up this player? If you can tell the story without bringing them up, you're not generational. If you have to bring them up when you talk about the 2000s, you're generational. You have to talk about AI.
I like that one. I like
basketball. So he would be generational for that era. But you can maybe not have to talk about Paul Pierce or Jermaine O'Neal. You don't have to talk about those guys. They're not generational.
Right.
They're still great players, but they're not generational. So that's
if you talk about the 2010s, Mars, you gotta bring up Harden.
Not even that. If you're talking about the 2010s, you gotta talk about James Harden. You gotta bring up
Paul Pierce.
Yeah, Ron might get to those names, and then you'll see if I say they're generational.
But if you get to the 2010s with Mars' definition, you can't talk about the 2010s, and I'm talking about from 2010 to 2019 without James Harden, without Westbrook. You got to talk about those two.
It's easier,
I don't have those guys. I don't think those guys are generational. So
it's easier. It's easier to talk. It's easier to do the 10s without Harden than it is the 1000s without Paul Pierce.
No, it is not.
No, it is not.
I disagree with that, but
Ron, it's like you was about to run down some names, Ron.
I got you. Let's get back into it.
I know where you was going. Hold that thought, Damo. Don't leave that. Hold that.
Next, we got the big ticket, Kevin Garnett. Is he generational?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
What kind of question is that? Yeah.
Hey, I disagree with Bob. Trying to make sure we're all on the same page.
Everybody know who KG is, so I don't know what Bob talking about.
What you mean? What did I say about?
No, KG is his guy. KG is Big Ox's guy. He love him some Ticket.
That's my favorite player, bro.
Love Ticket.
He loved
him some. Yeah, he loved him some ticket, boy. That's his man.
I love ticket TV. I love the big ticket, man.
Yeah, big ticket. Big Ox guy. That's his man.
You love Taylor Swift tickets?
I love Katy Perry tickets.
Hey, that's my guy. That's my guy.
Bob about to start something on here. All right, next. Let's keep it pushing in the 2000s. We got Dirk.
Yes.
For sure.
Ticket, you got Dirk?
Oh shit! I'm talking. I got this shit on mute. Say it one more time.
You got Dirk as a generational talent?
Yeah, because he was the first guy who came in. He was one of the first guys who came in originating the big man, being able to step out, shoot the three, all that, the one-legged fadeaways, all that stuff. People still using this move today. Hell yeah, he generational.
All right, cool. We're gonna keep it pushing. The next guy I'm gonna go with out of the 2000s is Steve Nash.
No.
Nah.
Yes.
I think the Phoenix Suns are generational. I don't think Steve
as a unit.
Yeah.
Yes, he's 100%.
Steve Nash, no, he's not.
I don't think Steve Nash
from the aspect of that generation, like you just said, if you're talking about a generation, like how long is a generation? Let's say it's a decade. Right. If you're talking about a generation, if it's a decade,
chill. But when you say generation, we talking about from years to come, bro.
Right. We are
because he gets eliminated because so I support the nigga. Boy, hey, he gets eliminated because we seen other point guards do great with Mike D'Antoni.
Right, we have.
Bro, we seen hold on, we seen Chris Duhon put up big numbers with Mike D'Antoni. Like, come on,
we seen him do what Steve Nash was doing, though. We did not see him do what Steve Nash was doing.
We seen Jeremy Lin turn the world upside down with Mike D'Antoni and had Lin sanity, bro. That was the biggest thing in the NBA.
For 2 weeks, he did.
Hold on, but you got to remember, if he would have stayed with Mike D'Antoni, that style would have stayed. If Melo would have,
except he didn't, no Ticket. We can't do that, though, Ticket.
But what I'm saying, hold on, I'm giving you a point. Okay. Every point guard that D'Antoni had, he did that too. So D'Antoni was a common denominator.
So if we doing that,
denominator. I can understand if he did it for 2 weeks and we never seen it happen again. Man, we seen dudes like Chris Duhon put big numbers up with Mike D'Antoni. Every point guard he had a career highs playing with this dude.
Right, and Steve Nash was able to stay with him, and because Steve Nash was able to stay with him, he produced what he produced. How can we have a generation? How can we have a generation go by and we have a back-to-back league MVP and not talk about that generation without talking about that guy? We have to. We have to be able to talk about that guy.
I think we're talking about the Suns more than Steve Nash, in my opinion. I think you're talking about the 2000s. You talk about Kobe and Shaq, Duncan, KG, Dirk, and then you talk about how the Phoenix Suns influenced the way the game's played today. You don't just say Steve Nash, in my opinion.
Amari closer to generational than Steve Nash is.
I do not agree with that at all. But
Chill. I'm on your side, Chill. A dude who during that time, nobody was really doing what Steve Nash was doing.
Yo, Steve Nash ain't shit without Amari Stoudemire.
Hold up. That's not true because we could call the MVPs we could say MVPs are as non-valid as possible. He still got 2 MVPs. What he was doing in terms of playmaking, the way he was playmaking was second to none. On top of that, I mean, I'm a dude who highly values 50, 40, 90s and things like that. It's a short list of guys that did that.
For almost his career.
And he did that for a couple seasons. If I'm
not
mistaken.
a couple. No, not a couple seasons. He's almost a 50, 40, 90 guy for his career. That's who he is. That's number one.
I think he did it like 4 times, I think. But
and number two, we're talking about a guy who was responsible offensively for over 50% of their offense. Now, we don't have guys being responsible. There's a difference between being responsible for 50% of a team scoring because you scored a basketball, as opposed to a guy being that responsible for everybody else's offense, in addition to mine, having a high assist to turnover ratio. Add all of that into the fact that he was a back-to-back league MVP. If I'm not mistaken, if I go back, Chamberlain, Russell, Magic, Bird, Jordan, Duncan, Curry, James, Jokic. I think it's only 12 guys in NBA history, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just going off the top of my head, Mars. I think it's only 12 guys in a 75-year history. Moses won it in back-to-back seasons too. I think it's like 12 or 13 guys in NBA history who won the league MVP in back-to-back seasons. And the fact that you was on a crew with this dude for as long as even if he was with Mike D'Antoni, for as long as he was with Mike D'Antoni, the fact that he produced with him, and the fact that those other guys, I mean, don't get me wrong, you saw what James Harden did with Mike D'Antoni, how good he was. You saw what Steve Nash did with Mike D'Antoni. Now, I'm going to equate that with Mike D'Antoni 100%, but he still had to produce too. Those other guys.
13 back-to-backs, that's 26 seasons. That's like 33% of the league. That's a lot. That's really not that rare of a stat.
Wait. And 70, so you got 13 guys who win it in back-to-back years.
So what? That's 26 seasons. That's one
in
third.
75 years. Big odds.
That's one third. That's one third of the history of the NBA. That's
right. That means that
every 2 years there's a back-to-back MVP. Basically.
That means 2/3 of the time that's not happening. No, it's not. 2/3 of the time that's not happening.
I don't know. 33%. That's good numbers if you ask me. That's like, you know what I'm saying. If I shoot 33 from three, y'all got to close out on me.
Bob, the thing about it is you have to be an MVP caliber player to get back-to-back. And then you have to be
basketball.
And then you have to be an extreme MVP to go back-to-back. It's 2/3 of MVPs don't go back-to-back. You got to be in the upper echelon of MVPs to do that.
Well, most of you guys think he robbed someone in one of those MVPs.
Well, I mean, whether that's neither here nor there, Morris.
Right.
I think he should have three-peated as an MVP.
It could have been robbery. It probably was robbery, but at the same time, he got it. And even with that being said, like, he was still in contention.
Yeah, I think he was great. Like, everyone knows how great I think he is. I just think you can be better than someone and the other person still be generational, just on how impactful they were to the landscape of the game. Right. That's how I'm defining it. So Steve Nash, I think, is better than a lot of people. Like, I'm probably, if we get to Russell Westbrook, I might say he's generational. I still think Steve Nash is better than him. It's just how the cookie crumbles.
I just think when we get to
go ahead, Chill. You got it.
When we talking about a generational talent, we're talking about a guy from this generation, how great he was for this generation. And does he transcend generation? Like, what do you think Steve Nash would be doing in today's game?
Well, his numbers would be ridiculous.
I think he would be fantastic in today's game, Mars. I think in terms of efficiency, his ability to distribute, knock down the long ball, speed the game up, like that 18 and 11, that could eat, and I'm not going to go overboard. That 18 and 11, that could easily turn into something like 27 and 14 today. Easily.
Yeah.
I think he's the second best point guard in the league if he plays right now. So
behind Luka? Oh, behind Steph?
Yes.
Okay. Behind De'Aaron?
Oh, yeah, De'Aaron Fox, my fault, number 3. And a mentor.
All right, fellas. Moving along to another point guard. Same generation.
Nah, for real. De'Aaron's torching Steve Nash, bro, for real.
Yeah, Steve Nash can't play defense.
Next point guard I got for y'all is Jason Kidd.
No.
Yes.
Am I gonna sound like a hater if I say yes for Jason Kidd and no for Steve Nash?
I'm gonna say no.
Man, as much as I love J Kidd, I might have to say no for that too. I mean, he did some incredible things, but you got to stay consistent though.
With the exception of Magic, and so when Magic showed up, I mean, there were a bunch of big guards, like Michael Ray Richardson, Paul Pressey, Magic showed up. So there were a bunch, Reggie Theus, there were a bunch of big guards. But from an athletic standpoint, when Jason Kidd showed up, he's going to change the game. And even from a defensive standpoint, which he did, his ability to speed the game up, make plays for other people from the defensive standpoint. Now, he wasn't a great shooter, but he was one of the best finishers. And now with a guy like that on your crew, he becomes the standard for what the point guard looks like. He was almost like he was a smaller version of what Magic was, except faster and a better defender. So when I think about a generational talent, yeah, I think Jason Kidd is a generational talent.
If they could have got that, was that 03? If they could have got that 03 championship, I mean, it would have been easier to say yes.
I don't even think it's about the championship.
That's why I don't hold that against him.
I'm just saying though, man. It would have
no
been.
hell.
I would have a better case for him though. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to say yes right now. You know, I'm big with on J Kidd.
Mm-hmm.
If it was no Shaq in the league, maybe he might have got one. But unless he was,
he lost.
Shaq,
No, he lost that. I'm talking about the one against the Spurs. They wasn't winning that one against the Lakers, bro.
Okay.
They were not beating the Lakers.
But see, that's the thing about him though. Is okay. So Nash got back-to-back MVPs. I damn near give J Kidd just as much credit for going to back-to-back championships as well.
Mm-hmm.
Doing that, I think that says a lot about J Kidd.
It does.
I know about the Eastern Conference at the time, but
it was a little watered down.
Yeah, that's right. Shout out to J Kidd.
Yeah, but Chilton, do you think J Kidd when he came, he kind of changed the game? Like, did he leave a big impact on the game, being a bigger 6'4", point guard playing D, making those full court bounce passes, you know, picking up full court. I mean, his jump shot wasn't nothing to write home about,
right?
But, you know.
But from an athletic standpoint, I mean, when you think about it, you think about the athletic point guard. Who was the next athletic point guard like that after Jason Kidd? In terms of an athlete, just getting up and down the floor. Who was like that? I'm thinking Russell Westbrook.
I was like Chris Paul?
I think he was a better athlete than Chris Paul. I think he was a better athlete.
Young Chris Paul? Young Chris Paul was pretty athletic.
Steve Francis, Baron Davis.
Even with Steve Francis, Baron Davis, I still think I'm talking end to end, Mars. I'm not talking about your ability to get above the rim. I'm talking about end to end.
Like De'Aaron Fox, John Wall type speed.
Yes, I'm talking about end to end. And
Gilbert Arenas.
Monte Ellis.
No, I don't think he was I think Jason Kidd was a better athlete than Gilbert Arenas. Yes.
First of all, don't tell me come on, Damo. Gil had that. He had speed.
He had gear. He had 100%.
He most definitely has speed. He most definitely has speed.
He was in terms of end to end.
He's not as big as J Kidd though.
That's number one.
No,
Number two,
I wasn't talking about as good. I was just saying, just pure athleticism at the point guard position.
No, I'm talking about big. I'm talking about size.
Oh, it's big guards. Big. Okay, my fault.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. In terms of end to end, Damo, we're talking about baseline to baseline, free throw line to free throw line, and vision and getting other guys involved in the game, passing in traffic, and being able to do that stuff at that speed. When I think about an athlete, the next guy that I saw after him in terms of an athlete being able to do that was Russell Westbrook. Now, don't get me wrong, Russell Westbrook will throw the ball into the second row, but just end to end, he was the next guy that I was thinking about.
Derrick Rose.
He didn't do it long enough, Mars. That's probably my issue.
They came in at the same time. Oh, that was a year before. It was a year before, my fault.
Mm-hmm.
I got to stop hating on Gilbert Arenas stuff. Yeah, I got to stop hating on.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact.
I'll do that shit too.
Hey, though, I got one more player from the 2000s though for you guys. We talked about T-Mac, so I'm not going to bring up T-Mac. The next player I want to bring up is somebody who I don't know if you guys are thinking about him. We haven't brought him up, but he held the record until Steph Curry broke it. Ray Allen.
No.
I would have to say yes. Hands down.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Well, it depends on. Go ahead, Ticket. I'm sorry.
Hold on. The reason why you say yes is because the way that boy shoot that basketball, man, he helped pave the way for guys like Steph Curry. And he had the movie come out. He was so cold. He had the movie He Got Game that's legendary that came out of how cold he was. So it's no way because he influenced all those guys like him. Like you had the Reggies before him, but he influenced the Steps and all these other guys that's coming after him, man. Like, bro,
just so we clear, Ticket. His name is not Jesus Shuttleworth. That's not his real name, everybody. Just so y'all know, his real name is Ray Allen. But from a shooter's standpoint, I believe because again, what we can't do, Ron, is when we're talking about a generational talent, it can't be compacted into one thing. Generational talent is broad. So when you're talking about a generational shooter, Ray Allen is definitely a generational talent, 100%. The generational player, I'm not going to go that far. No. Mm-mm.
All right, fellas. So from the 2000s, as of right now, we got KG, Dirk, Allen Iverson, Kobe, Shaq. Duncan. Now I'm gonna move on to some.
You said Tim Duncan?
Yeah, I'm Duncan.
Oh yeah, Duncan too. So moving along, we got a couple players that were drafted later. So now we're going to get into them. We obviously got LeBron. I don't think we got too much.
Oh, no, right. Actually.
I'll give it to him, but it's close. I'll give it to him.
Are we sure, Mars? I mean,
I think you can make the argument. I think you can make the argument. So
I can probably make a legit argument.
I don't know, man.
I'm not sure, but I think I can attempt to make an argument that
I wouldn't argue too much if someone said he wasn't.
But Mars, if he would have got that 07 championship, then okay, yeah. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, but 07, but then also 2011. I mean, you kind of lose your generationalness with 2011. So.
Hey, folks, we just trolling because this gonna turn into something else, and we don't want this to turn into something else. So chill. We just playing. Anyway, go ahead, Ron. I'm sorry.
So next, we're gonna move on to he eventually became his running mate, but from the same draft class, we got Dwayne Wade. Is Flash a generational talent?
I believe so.
I would have to say yes.
What don't you like about this, Mars? Because I can see your face. What don't you like about this, Mars?
No, because
we can't tell
once
the
again,
story
it's
without
not about
D-Wade.
how good I think they are. I think D-Wade is. I think he's better than Allen Iverson. I said Allen Iverson is generational. It's like I'm thinking if I'm talking about the 2000s or the 2010s, if I leave out Dwayne Wade, do you still get the overall picture of the era?
Hell no.
No.
And I don't think you do. So I think D-Wade probably is generational, but I don't think it's as easy as just.
Okay, let me.
I think it's close.
Question, Mars. Let me expand on the question. Can you be a franchise player and not be a generational talent?
Yes.
Do you think Dwayne Wade is more of a franchise player than he is a generational talent?
I think he does make the cut for generational.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think it's as easy straight away, no hesitation, he's generational. Because I think if you're telling the story of NBA basketball and you leave out D-Wade, I don't think you're overall missing a whole chapter of the book. Like I think D-Wade might get like a page, whereas we're talking about NBA basketball, Kobe gets a whole chapter, Larry Bird gets a chapter, Magic gets a chapter, Steph Curry will get a chapter. He's getting a page like, he did this. There you go. There's the page done. We move on. Oh, here's LeBron. 2 chapters. Like that's how I'm thinking.
Steph getting a chapter and D-Wade barely getting the page. I have a problem with that.
Why?
Yeah.
Because what D-Wade was doing 05, 06, when those 3 years right there, 05, 06, 07, he got it. I think he got hurt. Oh wait, I don't know.
He got hurt in 08.
Oh wait, right. And then those years right there for D-Wade to come out that draft in 03 and then win in 06 was nuts. But 05 he had a really good run too. That was start shaking up the East. You can't talk about the 2010s without mentioning Dwayne Wade in 06. Now maybe Shaq's presence on there makes it to where you have to put the pen to the paper and talk about that 06, but nonetheless, Dwayne Wade was the engine on that team. So you have to talk about Dwayne Wade in that time for 05, 06, 07. You have to talk about him. Then Bron makes the announcement to go to Miami. D-Wade is all over that page. D-Wade is all over that. Like I don't because I'm just going off your definition, Morris. We cannot talk about the NBA from 2002 to 2015 without having a lot of D-Wade in there.
To Big Ox's point, it won't just be LeBron James went to Miami to play with D-Wade. Well, wait a minute. Who is D-Wade? We got to expand on who Dwayne Wade is.
If you ask me before 2000, before all that, D-Wade's in the book just as much as LeBron, if not more.
And also too,
I think in the book it's just written as LeBron went and joined forces with another top 5 player in the NBA, Dwayne Wade.
I'm talking about before Bron. Before Bron gets to Miami, I'm talking about when Bron's in Cleveland and Miami and D-Wade's in Miami. He enters this novel before Bron does. He has a good write up on him before Bron even gets
when they were in the conference finals. Yeah, I agree. I agree. He gets early mentions and you speak about him, but I still think it's a page. I don't think he's getting a chapter. That's what it is. I don't think he's getting a chapter.
Right. Remember Detroit was trying to take over the East. D-Wade stepped in there like Like
would he
did that before Bron.
If he doesn't get hurt in that game 5 against Detroit,
and I think they're in back-to-back finals.
not back-to-back finals. I was going to ask you, Moss. Do they beat San Antonio in 05 in the NBA championship? I think they do.
I wouldn't be surprised. I
think they do.
And how do we talk about D-Wade and Shaq if they go back-to-back?
Way different.
It's both guys. It's a completely different narrative for both guys.
Way different.
Indirectly, I think that hurts Kobe more than it helps Shaq.
No. How does it hurt Kobe?
Here's why. Because in 04, they just lost in the finals, Kobe and Shaq. Kobe played poorly. Shaq then joins forces with a second-year D-Wade, goes back-to-back with him. Meanwhile, Kobe misses the playoffs and loses in round 1, blowing a 3-1 lead. At that time, Kobe is looking ridiculous. No.
Okay, I think
in 06 after that ring.
Hold on, I think about NBA history. Okay, I got you. I think
at that time. It's looking terrible for Kobe.
Kobe's forcing himself. He's forcing his way out of LA. They win that second chip. He is in that house in Chicago. He is yo.
100%.
He goes out. You in?
Hey, I got a counter to that. Hold on, I got a counter to that.
Where's he going, Damo? Where's he going?
I got a counter. Hey, I got a counter to that.
He goes out that first round series against.
Hey, bro, hold up right quick, Ticket. We got you, Ticket. Hold up right quick. Finish that, Damo.
Where's he going, Damo?
He goes out that first round series against Phoenix. And Shaq and then wins that second ring. There isn't even no conversation. He's buying the house in Chicago. He's like, look, this is where I'm going. Y'all go ahead. I'm putting my 2 weeks notice in now. This isn't going to work. He's going 0 dark 30 before anybody. You won't see Kobe. You wouldn't have seen Kobe
even if they refuse to trade, he's not reporting the training camp.
Kobe would have been the first player in NBA history to force himself out of. We wouldn't be talking about LeBron, KD, Harden, nobody. Kobe Bryant would have started the trend of if I'm disgruntled, I'm getting out of here.
All right, man, enough of this bullshit, man. All right. First of all, here's why it's capped. Because D-Wade would have been the finals MVP. So it wouldn't have meant nothing. It meant that he went and got carried by D-Wade 2 years in a row. That's what it would have meant. That would have meant that Kobe was right in trying to take over the team because Shaq was unable to be the leader of the championships going forward, even though he thought he was. So hold on. Let me finish. Because I sit here and listen to everybody for the last 15 minutes.
Keep going.
All I'm saying to you is that if you look at it the right way, which is the way we should look at it, if Shaq were to go with D-Wade and he was the finals MVP and won 2 more chips, now y'all right. But if D-Wade is the finals MVP and carrying Shaq like he did in the first finals, we're having a whole different conversation. And the reason why we're having a whole different conversation is because that's what Kobe was thinking his time was. He was thinking it was his time to carry the load, and Shaq was fighting that. But then you go to D-Wade, and D-Wade carries the load, and you win like that, and you are a distant second as far as the 1-2 punch, especially in the finals. So for me, Kobe wins that because especially Kobe goes on to win championships, and he's the man later on after that.
I see that.
Can I ask? Oh, my fault. Go ahead.
No, you got.
I was just gonna say, can I ask? Is Kobe the only guy that he will look at guys based off of them getting Finals MVP as that justifies them getting a ring? Is he the only guy that does that, or is this a basketball player thing? Because if that's the case,
I'm saying the beef. Hold on, the separation with those two, and the problem is that the beef and the problem with those two was that he didn't think that Kobe was ready to be the leader of that team. He still thought he was the man. That was the problem when they played Detroit. So now if he goes to Miami and D-Wade is the man, like he was in the finals 2 years in a row, then all that, and then Kobe goes on and wins more chips as the man like he did with Pau Gasol. Shit, Kobe still wins because Kobe would have proved his point that Shaq wasn't at that level no more to lead the team. He'd have proved his point. Now, if Shaq was the finals MVP, if he went on and won 2 more with D-Wade, he's the finals MVP, Kobe done. And we ain't talking about nothing. He's donezo. But if he's if he's not the finals MVP and it's a big separation, like D-Wade's averaging 36 and Shaq's averaging 18, 17, 16, and he wins 2 more chips like that, like what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Ticket. Finals MVP or not, Shaq wins 2 more rings with a second-year Dwayne Wade. Kobe go out there. Hold on.
That's bullshit, bro.
Hold on. Shaq goes out and wins 2 more rings right after leaving Kobe, right after losing in the finals with Kobe. Kobe gets bounced in the first. No, Kobe missed the playoffs, gets bounced in the first. Then has, and let's not even say he leaves. Let's say he stays. He loses to the Celtics in 08, and Shaq comes on that mic. Last night, Kobe couldn't do without me after winning 2 without him. Yes, bro. Kobe's not giving Pau Gasol another chance. Kobe, as soon as he see Lamar Odom pick up crack, he's done. He's done. We're not getting that far. He's done. He's done, bro. Kobe goes out there with Smush Parker after seeing Shaq win 2 rings. He's like, I got Smush Parker and Kwame Brown. Get me out of here. I don't care where I go. I'm just not staying here. I'm not trying. A finals MVP is not about to make him be like, oh, he got 2 rings, but the young buck was the finals MVP. He don't what? The finals MVP ain't changing nothing, bro. He's gone.
So, but you're talking about
sorry, bro.
If you're 06 or 06,
if you're playing at a whole different level than the other dude, bro. If you're playing at a whole different level, for example, that first finals he won with D Wade. What did Shaq average in the finals, bro?
14 again.
A ring. He got a ring.
So no, Damo. We're not finna do this. You finna sit your ass down right now. I'm finna sit you down, nigga. So, like I said, what did he do in the finals that first year? Hold on. He averaged 14 and D Wade averaged what? What did D Wade average?
36 a game in them finals.
Okay, so if you got 2 finals where D Wade is putting up those huge numbers versus Shaq's, I don't want to hear about, oh yeah, man, Shaq is the man, because Shaq and Kobe was getting into it because Kobe was trying to say, hey, look, dog, you ain't at that level no more. Let me take over the team. He didn't want to let Kobe take over, so his pride, his selfishness made him go play with D Wade and had to go be a second man to D Wade that he wouldn't do to Kobe Bryant, a dude who already he won 3 championships with. So your logic doesn't work. Now, if Shaq went over there and he was dominating, he was the man and won 2 more chips, now Shaq ethers Kobe because he says, look, I told you if you would have did it my way, we would have still won. But the fact that he averaged 14 in the finals and D-Wade averaged 36, come on, man. Any other nigga average that, man, he getting carried, bro. Man, get out of here, bro.
Ticket. And I'm glad they gave you the graphic of being on fire so you don't cry when you get cooked. Listen, my guy. Shaq going and winning 2 rings as the second option behind a second-year Dwayne Wade, a second and third-year Dwayne Wade, probably would have made Kobe way more mad than the fact that he just won 2 rings. Because all Kobe wanted was to be the guy. He wanted to take the reins. And Shaq, with whatever you want to call it, ego, pride, bravado, whatever it is, he didn't want that to be done for Kobe. So for him to say, no, Kobe, even though you're proving, even though we won 3 already, even though we've done tremendous things together, I'm not going to take a back seat to you. But I am going to go and play with this young pup right here, take the backseat to him, and win 2 more rings. If you don't think Kobe Bryant will be sitting there punching air like Cooper Gooden Jr. on Boys in the Hood because Shaq left him to play second fiddle to a second-year, third-year player and win 2 more rings, Ticket, stop, Ticket.
You see my flame emoji still flaming.
And I'm flaming too, so we just hot together.
Hold on.
We both just
hold on. You see my hold on, bro. You see my flame emoji still flaming. And here's the hypocrisy in you, bro. The hypocrisy in you is this. If Kobe would have left and did the same thing, but he would have been the dude that was second fiddle, averaging 14 in the finals, y'all wouldn't give Kobe that credit. You wouldn't say, yeah, man, Kobe did it. They wouldn't give Kobe that. They would say Kobe Bryant, he was a part of the show. He was a lower sidekick to the other guy. He wouldn't have got main credit for those chips. That's facts. Let Kobe average 14 in any NBA finals and see what they would have said about him. So let's cut this out. The bottom line is Shaq would have had to go and been the man and prove it because that was Kobe and Shaq's whole beef. Their whole beef was based off of Shaq says that, yo, I can still be the man and lead our team in the way we're playing, with Kobe trying to be the lead guy. It ain't gonna work. I need to be the lead guy so we can win chips, like we did the first 3. That's what Shaq's stance was, bro. Kobe's stance was, no, you're getting older. It's my time to be the lead guy. You take a back seat, and Shaq didn't want to do that at that time. So if Shaq goes to Miami as the lead guy and wins 2, and he's the man in the finals killing, Kobe's done. He's done so. But it changes because that's not what happened.
Ticket, we can agree to disagree because at the end of the day, I know for a fact, based off Kobe Bryant's ego, based off the fact that when he was done with the game, he said, I'm glad I just got, what he said? I'm glad I got 1 more than Shaq. Like he was just, the fact that was on his mind. He does not care about finals MVPs, honestly, does not matter for real. Because if that was the case, people would have been looking at Steph Curry in 2015 after Andre Iguodala got the finals MVP like, oh, they were great, but Iggy got the finals MVP. I shouldn't be worried about Steph. No, that following year, Steph was thrown in everybody's faces. Steph, they made him unbeatable in 2K the next year. literally everyone started playing full court defense and he started shooting from the logo the next year, and he didn't have a finals MVP. So this finals MVP talk thing, I don't think that's moving the needle, but we can agree to disagree. I'm not going to hold everybody up just going back and forth.
L host.
All right. With that being said, let's go move on to the next players. So we talked about the 2010 or 2000s. Was it anybody in the 2000s that you guys felt I left out?
I hate this logic that Dwayne Wade carried Shaq, and y'all completely leaving out the fact that Shaq was getting double and triple team the entire finals, and Dwayne Wade just expanded his game tremendously. It wasn't like Shaq had one-on-one coverage and he was just washed. That's not what happened. What happened. But I'm sorry.
Was Shaq the number one option on those teams?
They defended him like it.
Yes.
Well, the reason why I'm asking this to say, like, this is what a number two option is supposed to do. I think more often than not, the number two option is to step up. Like, remember, for instance,
the offense ran through Shaq. Just so you know, when they got Shaq, the offense ran through Shaq.
So Shaq was the number one option.
Wade played off of him.
And so that's
a number. Hold on, man, stop capping, man. This ain't what happened in the finals.
Whoa. You saw what happened in the finals. Getting double and triple team. That's a fact, Ticket. That is not my opinion.
Averaged 14 points. Man, get the hell out of here.
You know why he averaged 14 points? Getting double and triple team.
What was happening? Put the glasses back on when you talk, because I want you to see
the problem that you also leaving out, Ticket, is you leaving out how bad he shot from the free throw line. 1 for 9 in game 1. I think he shot less than like 30% from the free throw line in the finals. If he shoots 50% in the finals, he's averaging 22, 23 a game. That's happening.
Get out of here, man. If and bust was candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry
Christmas. That's what we're talking about right now. If and bust.
What the hell wrong with you, man? Like I said before, man. Bro, you got cooked, man. You talking about a man averaged 14 points in the finals? You making excuses? So a man go from in his prime putting up 36 and 14 in the NBA finals, averaging 14 points, and you sitting here capping like Uncle Ben, man. Like I said,
whoa. Where is the lie? Ticket. Where is the lie? He was getting double. The lie is he was nowhere
near that dude no more. That's lie.
True. That's not true.
He wasn't, bro. He wasn't.
I'm not saying he wasn't 2003 Shaq. I won't tell you that. I will agree with you on that. He wasn't 2002 Shaq. No way I will say that. But for him to get double and triple teamed, which is what was going on against Indiana, which is what was going on against Philly. No, it wasn't going on against Philadelphia. He was played one-on-one against them. Against Dallas, he was doubled and triple teamed, which opened up the floor way more than it did for anybody else for Dwayne Wade. How he got downhill, how Antoine Walker was able to provide offense, how Udonis Haslem was able to clean up for these guys. You know, Udonis Haslem in that game 6, the clincher, he went 15 and 10 in that game because Shaq was getting doubled and triple team. What Antoine Walker did, I think Antoine Walker also had a double because Shaq was getting doubled and triple team. There's a reason why that was going on. Because Shaq wasn't 2002 Shaq, but he was still awesome. That's why they were double and triple teaming him. That's not cap. That is a fact. Ain't no get out of here. That is a fact.
He was washed up, dried up, cloudy.
Even though he was first team All NBA, he was washed up. Even though he was first team All NBA, even though the year before that,
hold on, let me ask you a question.
He was second in the league MVP.
Hold on, I got one question that's going to end you right now. I got one question that's going to destroy you right now. You got to shut your whole channel down. Hey, when did a double or triple team ever stop Shaq before that, sucker?
We just
now, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. He was getting double and triple every finals, man. Sit down somewhere, man.
Can somebody give me something to smoke in my pipe?
Yeah, like I said, you see how you got ice? They iced your ass. Like I said before, Shaq was getting doubled and tripled in every single finals, in every playoffs. When did that ever stop him? When did he ever have 14 points in the NBA finals all those years? Since you still said he was still close to that dude, man, get the hell out of here, man. Send it, pack his ass up and send Chilltown ass home somewhere. This is how you body it. Look, he's still talking. He ice. You on ice, boy.
Yo, chill. I think we'll get you back in a second. I don't know that the ice should wear off. And
man, we putting cold beers and on top of that ice, so he gonna be down there for a minute.
Damn.
But while we wait for Chill to come back, the next player that I do want to get into is Kevin Durant.
Yes.
How are we feeling about Kevin Durant in terms of a generational talent?
I think he's generational.
Does anybody disagree?
Yeah, he generational. He a generational team jumper. Yeah, he is, man. His talent is, man. I don't like KD, bro. I don't like that dude, bro.
Oh, and Ron, to answer your question before Chill got iced, hey, man, if we can lie about players that were so popular, Stephon Marbury, that was a generational player that, hey, man, we just didn't bring up in the 2000s, that you didn't mention in the 2000s. I would say Starbury had all the attention in the world.
That's because he left my man hanging. That's why, Damo.
Yeah, man.
We don't show him no love because he left my man hanging up there in Minnesota.
They built a statue of him in China, bro. He got to be generational.
I will not deny any facts. I won't say anything about his talent. I think he was a great player, but he left my man hanging up in Minnesota. I got no love for him.
That's fair, Ron.
They talk about it's cold, and he went to New Jersey. I've been to New Jersey. It's cold in Jersey.
It's not Minnesota cold though. Let's be real. It's not Minnesota.
You got all that money. You better buy a mink and shut the hell up.
If you gotta wear a mink in June, I don't want to be there either. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, KG thugged it out, man. That was some sucker shit.
And that's why he was so mad in Boston. He was thugging it out in mink coats in July. 4th of July, you in a mink coat in the snow. Can't even pop fireworks. I'd be mad too.
That's cold.
All right, fellas, moving along. I think this one's quite obvious as well. I'm gonna mention him, but we can get on to the next name quick. Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
All right, Bob, Chill, Ticket. Any objections to Steph Curry being generational?
I'm still on the guy before that, man. So I'm just
nope.
Never mind. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. No. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Steph's obviously generational. Yeah, cool.
All right. Next, and this is where I think things start to get a little fishy for the 2010s. So as of right now, I guess we can include Bron and D Wade in the 2010s. You got Steph, obviously. You got KD. So that would be 4. The next guy would be Kawhi Leonard.
Nah.
Do we consider him generational?
Nah.
Hell no. Hell no. Only thing that's generational about that fool is them broke ass knees. That's it.
Yo, if Kevin Durant was so easy, yes, and Kawhi, no, I'm so sick of y'all. Tired of y'all. Y'all do this now. This is bullshit. Y'all do this every day. Love who you love and hate on who you hate. How is Kevin Durant generational and Kawhi Leonard is not? Somebody.
What impact? Hold on, because KD's the 7. KD's damn near 7 footer. KD's damn near 7 footer. He's damn near 7 footer doing what he do. And it hadn't been seen a dude doing what KD did before he came in the league like that. Except, and even George Gervin wasn't doing it to the level of KD with the handles, the pull up, all that stuff. Everything KD brought to the game. He brought something that we hadn't seen before at that level. We seen Dirk, but Dirk wasn't doing it like KD was doing it. KD was coming down, pulling up off the break, crossing dudes up, getting to the rack, pulling up the midi, everything. Going to the rack, yamming on. KD had the whole package, and he's damn near 7 feet tall doing that.
And we could say the same thing, and we could say the same thing about Kawhi Leonard as a defender.
No. Hold on, chill. You can't. Hold on, chill. Listen. What I'm saying.
Yes, we can say the same thing about him as a defender.
Nobody. Hold on, but he said, hold on. But you're saying, listen. All I'm saying to you is this, though, bro. It's been dudes that have done more than Kawhi. It's been dudes that you can compare to Kawhi all time that's been defensive. I can compare Ron Artest to Kawhi Leonard's defensive.
No, you can't.
A lot of that. Yes, I can, bro.
No,
Ron Artest was just as good of a hold on.
No, he wasn't.
Hold on, time out. Not only just my words, but the numbers.
Or his generation, or Kawhi Leonard's generation. That's what we're talking about.
Hold on. Chilltown. Be honest now. Tell the truth right here in front of everybody. Who had a longer term of dominance defensively in the NBA? Ron Artest or Kawhi Leonard?
Artest, because he did it.
Thank you, bro. And now listen, go look at Ron Artest's best years as a defender. And guess what? He had way more competition than Kawhi had at the Defensive Player of the Year award. That's why he didn't win more, bro. Look at the competition. This nigga was going against Ben Wallace. Hey, how all them dudes in their front.
Ron Artest.
Man, y'all niggas be lying just to be hating on the nigga, man. That's why I be wrong, man. That's why I don't be like coming up here, man. Y'all niggas just tell lies to lie. Then you got the niggas in the crowd talking.
Nothing to do with you. Ain't nobody trying to hate on you.
Like I said before, bro. I'm giving you factual numbers. If you go look at the numbers, Ron Artest's main years on top of defense in the league, his main year would have won him 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards in Kawhi's era, bro. Stop the cap, man.
Okay, that part I can get with. That part I can get with. But
that changes everything. So because
that part I can get with.
Hold on, listen.
But when you going against his generation defensively,
Yes, hold on. If
Kawhi Leonard in his generation defensively, when you're talking about that era defensively, you can't talk about that era defensively without talking about Kawhi Leonard.
I'm not saying that, bro. Hold on, B. I'm with you, B.
That's a fact.
Hold on. When we say generational, we talking about more than just an era.
Okay.
We talking about more than just an era. Hold on.
About you got it. It's two sides of the ball.
Yeah, we talking about a whole
generation. Offensively, he's finished 2 seasons. I'm sorry. He's played his team's last game of the season twice, in 2019 and 2020. That's it.
What about the postseason?
Cook these dudes, Mars. Mars, cook these dudes, Mars. Put Mars on the screen, Mars.
2022, they're not even in the postseason because he misses the whole year of a torn ACL. 2023, he plays 2 postseason games and then he's out with a torn meniscus. 2018, he misses the whole year. He doesn't play in the playoffs for the Spurs. 2017, he gets hurt in the conference finals. You're basing it on 2 years of high level offense. Let's
rewind because this is what I want to bring up about Kawhi, and this is why I think he has a horse in the race. So you obviously have the 2 defensive player of the years. You have the 2 defensive player of the years. Then you got the 2 finals MVPs. No matter how you slice it, you could say, oh, well, the Warriors were hurt. Oh, well, he wasn't the best player on that team. Or if it wasn't for Tim Duncan and this, and this, it doesn't matter. 2 finals MVPs, 2 defensive players of the years. Obviously, in that span, everybody would agree that he was elite defensively. I would also say that he was elite offensively too. I would say during that time, he was probably the best 2-way player in the NBA.
What year? What's during that time? What years are we talking about?
What years was he elite offensively?
Yes.
I would say from 2019 on. Really 2018 on.
Well, 2018, he played 9 games.
So 16, 17, he was elite offensively.
Do you think so? I don't know if I would say 16, 17.
I will.
I'd say 16, 17.
16, 17, he was elite.
Look, Mars said
he's not even elite defensively anymore.
Mars said you're generational. Mars said you're generational if we can't tell the story without mentioning your man. Kawhi Leonard's generational, bro.
I think you could very easily tell a story without bringing up Kawhi Leonard. And even if
for that generation, you can't.
No, you can't.
Why not? Kawhi Leonard's not getting a chapter in the book. Kawhi Leonard's not getting a chapter in the book.
Kawhi
Leonard can be in the end credits where you give the what if players. He'll be there with Grant Hill, Penny Hardaway, Tracy McGrady. He'll be in that.
No, that's not true. I'm not going to say that's true. The reason why that's not true. The reason why that's not true, Mars, is because when you talk about the Golden State Warriors, you're going to ask what happened in 2019. Why didn't they win? Well, this guy Klay Thompson ended up getting hurt. Kevin Durant ended up getting hurt. Well, who was awesome in that series? Who is this guy? Kawhi Leonard. So now we got to go back and find out who Kawhi Leonard is. Well, who is this Finals MVP Kawhi Leonard? Well, wait a minute. He also won another Finals MVP earlier that decade. Who is this guy Kawhi Leonard?
We can talk about 17. We can talk about 17 and how they was on their way to getting their ass kicked in too.
Playing excellent team basketball. Their 3rd-year player Kawhi Leonard was the Finals MVP of that series, averaging 17, playing great defense. He then went on to win a couple Defensive Player of the Years in 15 and 16. Upon experiencing some injuries, he went and joined the Toronto Raptors, who had been struggling to get out of the Eastern Conference. He went and won a championship with them in 2019, winning his 2nd Finals MVP. That's the end of the Kawhi Leonard story. That's not generational. That's it. When I talk about a summary, you don't go in detail on every single aspect. You don't do that. These players when I summarize Kawhi Leonard's impact on the generation,
right? You did
sentences.
Absolutely. But here's the difference, though, Mars. You shortchanging him with that. It's not just. It's
purposely.
But I understand what a summary is, Mars. But you shortchanging him when you say stuff like, "Well, the San Antonio Spurs won the NBA championship, and he was the Finals MVP on a great team, and then he won a couple of Defensive Players of the Year." Well, wait a minute. You have to expand on that because it can't just stop with him winning the NBA Finals MVP, and then he goes on to win the Defensive Player of the Year in back-to-back seasons. Well, how did we get from here to here? Sounds like we have a really great. Sounds like we have an awesome player, and then you move to 2019 where they won the NBA championship. Well, damn, how did we get there? And how did we miss all of this other stuff? It can't just be that simply summarized. No,
wait, but watch this. See how Mars just did that on purpose? Okay, Kobe Bryant came to the NBA, got traded for Vali Divac. He jumped on Shaq's shoulders for three years. Then all he did was chuck for a couple seasons. Paul Gasol game, they won 2-2. He tore his Achilles. That's it.
Now, how ridiculous does that sound?
If you genuinely believe that's an accurate summary of Kobe versus what I said about Kawhi, which was definitely an accurate summary, then that's on you.
I could do the
that's
same
fine.
thing.
You can do the same thing, but if you genuinely believe that is an accurate summary of Kobe versus my accurate definition of Kawhi, that's fine. Like, if that's what you believe,
even if the summary of what
summary you didn't
right.
But
here's the difference, though, Mars. It's more than that. Even though that's the summary, there's still more to the book than what you just gave us.
Yeah, but
we have to talk about that stuff.
What's more to the book of Kawhi Leonard then? Because I'm to the belief that I don't think Kawhi is a generational talent. I think he's a great player. I think he was phenomenal for the era. But I also didn't think T-Mac and Paul Pierce are generational too. So I think there is a clear there is a line where it becomes okay. You're a superstar. You're a great player, and then you're generational. I don't think Kawhi Leonard was generational for the 2010s. Still great. So what is the okay, baby? You don't think so either? Okay, thank you. I'm so happy you think that. What is? I'm sorry, my daughter just threw me.
No, you good. You good, Damo. This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking when you talking about this generation, right? When you're talking about this generation, you got to talk about this guy. Now, you might not have to talk about him like you talk about LeBron James, like you talk about Steph Curry, but it's a little bit more than a paragraph on a page in a 360-page book. There's a little bit more to him than that. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a difference between a guy being a generational talent and a guy being generational. So this generation, we have to talk about him. That's the difference right there. So with Kawhi Leonard, did we have to talk about him? Yes, we do, considering what he did during that time. We have to bring him up. Just like we got to bring up Kyrie Irving.
You have to talk about respectfully, chill. My brother, respectfully, y'all confusing me because chill. Y'all confusing me because y'all saying, see, my Dom's whole thing was, I thought he said a generational player. I didn't know he meant generational, just talent. You see what I'm saying? So we saying generational talent, like okay, a generational player is different because some players are generational and they might not have the same accolades or same whatever as somebody else. You see what I'm saying, bro? So like when you say generational player, that means that that's a player that dudes are going to be emulating, dudes are going to be thinking about, dudes are going to be, for years and years and years and years to come. Like, for example, dudes are still emulating Mike on the court. That's generational. Dudes is emulating Kobe on the court. That's generational. Dudes are still talking about and thinking about Tim Duncan. Even though they don't emulate it, they still talking about it. You know what I'm saying? Even with Shaq, they don't emulate his style still, but they still talk about him in a way he's generational. So I'm saying, are these the next 20 years, is people going to be out here talking about Kawhi? Hell no.
That's what I was going to ask. That was the next question I was going to ask you. In 20 years down the line, 20 years from now, how are we going to be talking about Kawhi Leonard?
Are we talking about talent or popularity contest?
That's the question.
I'm not saying that. No, I'm saying, but Bob, I'm saying your effect on the game. Hold on, Bob.
I'm just talking about his game. That's all I want to talk about.
Your effect on the game means something too, as far as generations to come. Like, look at. I want to know. Hold on. Look at Mike's Bob. Look at Mike's effect on the. No, I'm not.
All right, Tika, I understand that. Tika,
I'm saying through your game. I'm saying through your game.
Tika, I understand what you're saying. I want to know, what are we talking about up here? Are we talking?
No, okay. So listen. Let's talk about talent. Did Kawhi Leonard do something? Bob, I'm gonna ask you a question.
Wait. Hold
on. I'm gonna ask you one thing, Bob.
Tigger, I just want to know what we're talking about.
That's what I'm saying to you. Hold on. If you listen, I'm asking you right now. Did Kawhi Leonard do something on the court that's going to affect generations to come, right, in his career?
I think defensively.
I believe so. I believe he.
What did he? Hold on. Okay, so here's my question. What did he do defensively, Bob? What did he do defensively that's going to affect generations years from now, 20 years from now?
Dominated on two sides of the basketball court. The only reason I would say that it won't happen is because now, we're getting to the point where people don't value dominating on the defensive end. If it was, but we're talking about what Kawhi Leonard did, yeah, hell yeah, he impacted the game.
Hold on, do you see him on the same level? Do you see Scotty? Hold on, did you see him, Scotty? Do you see him on the same level that Scotty impacted defensively?
Once again, let me answer the question, bro. Let me answer the question. I'm saying yes. He just wasn't healthy enough to be there as long as Scottie Pippen. But yes, when Kawhi Leonard is on the court, when he's healthy, yes, he dominates both ends of the court. Yes, he does.
You guys are explaining why he's in the what if section.
I'm not explaining if he's in the what if. There is no what if. We've seen it already. There's no what if about it. We've seen
Chilltown called Shaq a what if, and he's done everything he did. So
I'm not talking about what Chilltown said. I'm talking about what I said.
And I'm saying it's pretty evident that you can still be a what if and still be
he's not. But
he's
no. There's a what if
he could have done more. So what if he was healthy? He could have done more.
Everybody could have done more. Mars. That's not how that works.
He could have done.
That's not how that works, Mars.
He hasn't ended his season 4 times. That's a big.
I don't care. That's not how it works. We've seen it already.
Levels to what if.
Penny Hardaway's a what if.
Yes, I said,
you know what I'm saying.
In that section.
Penny Hardaway's a what if. Kawhi Leonard isn't a what if. We know what Kawhi Leonard was. We've seen Kawhi Leonard at his peak. You know what I'm saying?
You call him Kawhi.
Ticker got calling him Kawhi. See what you started. See what you did.
We seen Kawhi at his.
You know the truth.
We seen him at his peak, bro. We seen him at his. There is no what if to Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah,
we know what time it is.
Evident what if. I mean,
that's just saying. When we think about defenders, when we
won a ring and the MVP of the NBA, and we still call him a what if. So
that's fact, Mars.
Y'all call him whatever you want to call him. I seen if I see what you are, what's the what if? You did it. What is the what if to Kawhi Leonard?
Say what you said again, Mars.
We call Bill Walton a what if. And we saw him win Portland their first and only ever championship. We saw him be the finals MVP. We saw him be the league MVP. And we still call him a what if because he broke down. But Kawhi Leonard, who's done nothing but break down and finish 2 postseasons since he's been in his prime, I can't call him a what if. Like, no, he's still a what if. He's still great. Still achieved a lot, but it's still what if he was healthy? What if he was able to finish the 2017 postseason? What if he was able to play in the 2018 postseason? What if he was able to play in the 2021 postseason? What if he was able to play in the 2022 postseason? What if he was able to play in the 2023 postseason? What if he's a what if? Like, I
understand what you're saying, Morris. My thing is this: we don't have to ask. It don't matter. He done what Kawhi did when he with his health was enough. I seen enough already. He up there already. So now, if you want to say, well, what if he would have stayed healthy? He could have done more. He could have done more. Yeah, that's a fact. Obviously, he could have done more. But what I seen from Kawhi Leonard was enough. He's. I rank him already. It was enough.
Miles, I'm just.
He's top 75. It's just still what if he could have been more.
Right, and that's fair. I'm just thinking about him from his generation and what he did during his generation, just defensively. Right. I'm thinking 20 years down the line when a kid is in the gym. Or Big Ox is in the gym teaching a kid. This is how Kawhi Leonard played defense. Go watch film of Kawhi Leonard. Go watch film of Kawhi Leonard playing defense. Go watch film of Kawhi Leonard in the mid-range. Now, you could very well say later on, Mars, well, Kawhi Leonard, what if he could have stayed healthy? How much more awesome could he have been? That's 100% fact. 100% fact that is. But moving forward in 20 years, I think that there are going to be people who are going to teach their kids about how Kawhi Leonard played basketball. You could be this good. You can play defense like Kawhi Leonard. You can have a mid-range game like Kawhi Leonard. You got big hands. You're 6'6", 6'7". You can model your game after Kawhi Leonard and that's what a generational talent does.
Mars,
what if
Go ahead, Mars. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said, Mars.
What if KD wouldn't have got swept?
We'll get there, but I mean, since we're here, I mean, you can.
But hold on, though. What if James Harden and Kyrie Irving wouldn't have got hurt? What if what's his name? KD would have finished the season this year, that year. What if KD would have? My only reason I was so upset about this was because we said KD and everybody was like, oh yeah, hell yeah, no question. We get the Kawhi. Oh no, only thing generational is his broke ass knees. Like what the fuck? Come on, man.
Like I'm not doing it as a generational talent. I think he's a generational talent. But
see, and that's what I was trying to ask.
I said that.
We talking about talent or what?
I'm not doing it as a generational talent. I think he's a generational talent. I think he's one of the 25 best players to ever exist. But like someone said earlier, you have to produce. And when he's injured every other day, he's not producing at a level that's going to get him a chapter in the book.
That's damn near more impressive for me, Mars. The fact that this dude is always injured and has produced what he's produced. I think that's he's had how many seasons that he didn't finish, Mars, that you said?
All of them
2018.
All of them except 2.
And so that's what I'm saying, bro. In that small sample size of seasons that he finished, for him to be able to do what he's done, I think that's fairly impressive.
But Ron, that makes that. But that to Mars's point, that actually compounds the what if. Like if he did this in these two types, what if he could have stayed healthy? How much better could he have been?
No, for sure. But I don't think the what if necessarily takes away from you being a generational talent, though. He can be a what if and still be a generational talent.
I think Mars talking about generational talent too. I didn't know. I'm talking about just talent. I'm not talking about all the other stuff. So now
I'm talking about it I'm talking about in the imaginary book of basketball. How much gets dedicated to Kawhi Leonard? Not enough to be considered.
This is what I'm saying. I agree with you.
When you read the contents page, there's no Kawhi Leonard. Oh, you want Kawhi Leonard? Go to page 272. There's gonna be you want LeBron James? Go to page 208. He's gonna have a whole.
Who's writing this stupid fucking book then, Morris?
Me. Right, I'm the author. I'm the author of the book. There we go. The book of basketball. Okay. There we go.
Yo, but this is what I'm saying, though, Morris. I'm saying like Kawhi might not have a full chapter. He might not have a full page, but he got a couple different paragraphs and sections on different pages in that generation. So and furthermore, on top of that, at the least. So me and Chill agreed that Steve Nash was a generational talent in the 2000s. At the least, I'll compare Kawhi to that, where you got those 2 MVPs, and so that's why we have to talk about you. With Kawhi, he got those 2 Finals MVPs, and that's why we have to talk about him. He's the only guy that you could say, okay, he beat LeBron and he beat Steph. That's the only guy who you could say that about. But Kawhi, as valid as it is or not.
That's fine.
But Kawhi clears KD. I just want to get that over, get that point on. I need that on the record that Kawhi clears KD. Just need to get that on the record.
Do we need to do a Kawhi and KD versus? I like that one.
We could.
Let me go ahead and put that in my notes. But while I'm doing that, let's go ahead and get on to the next player because we do have another one. We've talked about James Harden already. I just want real quickly, do you guys believe James Harden's a generational talent in this era?
Generational talent, yes. Is he getting a chapter in the book? No.
Bars, this is turning. I do like the whole chapter thing, but it's turning into two different things.
No, because that's how I've been answering it the whole time. But now we've got a whole Kawhi Leonard argument. So now I want to clarify that I'm saying generational talent, sure, but he's not getting a whole chapter in the book, so I wouldn't consider him generational.
He's generational. He's a generational.
He's one of the best players of his generation.
All right. Y'all keep saying, hold on, y'all listen, y'all keep confusing me, bro. Y'all keep saying of their generation. I'm thinking generation and era is different. I'm thinking when we saying generational, I'm thinking we talking about like forever and ever and ever. I ain't thinking we talking about
that's what we talking about, Ticket. So like in 20 years, what's going to like does James Harden's name 20 years?
You just said he's like of that generation. I'm like, hold on. I'm thinking we talking about like of all time. You know what I'm saying?
But that's what a generational talent is. So like we talk about Dominique Wilkins, like we talk about Carmelo Anthony. Like that's how we're gonna talk about James Harden. He's gonna be in that category.
Right, but he's not, but that's not, but guys don't look at Dominique like he's generational. They have him like a tier lower than that. You know what I'm saying?
No. Dominique Wilkins, when you're talking about a generation, I mean, you're a generational talent. You might not be Jordan good, you might not be Bird good, but you still were a generational talent. 100%, that is. So James Harden, in 20 years, there's still going to be people talking about him. They're just going to talk about him like they talked about Carmelo Anthony, or like they talked about Dominique Wilkins. That's how they're going to talk about him. Does that mean that he was not? Does that mean that he wasn't awesome during his time? No, because he still was one of the best players of that generation. And on top of that, my game translates. So in 20 years, would James Harden still be able to play in the game 20 years from now? Because when you're talking about a generational talent, Ticket, like we just got finished talking about, I also think it matters. Does your game translate?
I don't think the 60s had any generational players then, other than like Wilt. But...
All right, fellas, moving along. I got 2 more for you.
Hold on, Ron.
What's up?
You think Bill Russell is the GOAT, but he ain't. But his game.
Yeah, but I don't view it the way you. I don't care about how it looks in 50 years later because he didn't play 50 years later, so it doesn't matter to me. But if I did view it that way, I don't think Jerry West is able to play today. I don't think that's going to happen. Like if I just teleport him from 1964 to 2023, I don't think Jerry West is going to be able to make the NBA. But I don't view it that way. But if I did, I don't think any of those guys, other than maybe Wilt, because of how much of an athletic outlier he is, would be able to.
I think Jerry could play.
I think Oscar Robertson would be awesome.
If you let them grow up today with everything they know, That's fine. I'm saying just teleport him from
1962 Jerry West, and just that's it. We don't give him any.
And you just create teleportation.
We just drop him.
You just zap him out of a Lakers game then, and just put him on an NBA floor today. He can't play.
Jerry West was a hell of an athlete though. I think Jerry could play. I think Jerry could keep up. He was a hell of an athlete. He's taking the ball back too.
No, he's not.
All right, fellas, I got to move on to these next couple players. I got Russell Westbrook for you.
I think you have to give Russell Westbrook a chapter of the book.
Chapter?
Yes, those triple doubles, you have to.
Don't forget, Ron. Oscar Robertson, Magic Johnson,
and I'm not saying he's better than
Steve Nash, Steph Curry, Russell Westbrook. That's it. In the history of the NBA, point guards to win the league MVP.
Chill. I'm not the best. Look, I'm the biggest Russell Westbrook fan out of anybody up here. Bob will tell you, out of anybody up here and anybody in the chat.
It's embarrassing.
And anybody in the chat. I'm the biggest Russell Westbrook fan, you know. So I'm not disagreeing, but I'm also trying to be level-headed. I'm trying to be, subjective. And I'm like, if Russell Westbrook is a chapter and we all agree with this, then how does Kawhi Leonard only get a couple paragraphs or not even a page? Or he's not even mentioned.
He didn't average a triple-double 3 times in 4 years.
3 times in 4 years, Mars, or 4 times in 5 years. It was something like that.
16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19.
And then he did it with
20, 21. He's done it 4 times in 5 years. Yeah.
I thought it was 4 times in 5 years.
So 4 triple doubles is more important than 2 defensive player of the year.
Yeah, when you're healthy every year, and you're not missing the postseason every single time, yes, you're gonna get more pages dedicated to you in the book. Yes.
When the triple doubles lead to nothing but getting torched by the Jazz, and
that's why I'm not saying Russell Westbrook is better than Kawhi. I'm saying he gets more pages because he played more.
And don't leave out
those are empty pages, just like those are empty stats.
That's perfectly fine. You don't have to read those pages, but he's
that's not empty. No, they're not empty. I mean, we're talking about a dude in Russell Westbrook before he got to the Lakers. I think he missed the playoffs 1 time as a starter.
I got love for Russ. I'm just saying this is one of those conversations where love don't mean nothing.
And he's going to retire. So when in the next year or two, Russell Westbrook is going to retire. 25,000 points. 10,000 assists. James is the only guy that ever did that. That's it. Nobody else did that. That's generational. We can't fight that because he produced at a high level.
You're getting a chapter if you average a triple double 4 times in 5 years. I mean,
I
don't care about the box score. I don't really care about the triple doubles. Like I said, this is not really just I think Russell Westbrook's better than Kawhi. Everyone seems to be thinking I'm saying Russell Westbrook. No, I don't think he's better than Kawhi. I don't even think he's better than James Harden. I definitely don't think he's better than Steve Nash. But I think when I'm looking at the book of basketball, someone wins a league MVP and averages a triple-double 4 times in 5 years, they are getting a chapter in a book where you have to talk about the 2010s. He's getting
I just think 2 defensive player of the years and 2 Finals MVPs is more chapter worthy than 4 triple doubles.
And that's fine. And the only reason I'm against Kawhi getting a chapter is because he doesn't play.
I get that part.
But if I stick to my argument, Mars, I have to agree with you that talent wise, athletically, all that, Russell Westbrook is a freak, and he's definitely. I can't name many athletes like him, so that's generational.
The most athletic point guard.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, he's getting a chapter. And if you think Kawhi's getting a chapter too, I understand based on the accolades and what he has achieved. I think you'd also have to say Steve Nash gets a chapter, which I don't. But I think you'd have to. I think you're giving a lot of people chapters. But the only reason I don't have Kawhi
I'm an accolade
is solely.
merchant,
the only reason I don't have Kawhi is solely based on that. Solely based on the fact he hasn't played.
And I do agree that Russell Westbrook's he deserves whatever he deserves in there, whether it's a chapter, I think whatever.
I think Russ and James Harden need to have their chapter together, and the chapter title isn't Russ. It's not called Russ and James. It's called Tour Dates.
Okay, I don't agree with that, but
it's called Tour Dates.
All right, so we're gonna move on. The last player that I do want to mention in this whole thing, because I do want to read these super chats, is Chris Paul. Is Chris Paul generational?
Damn. I don't want to be a hater. So
yes. When I think
best point guard in the league for like nearly a decade.
Yes. I do think he's generational. When you're talking about a guy both offensively and defensively, what he did and what he produced. Don't get me wrong. We talk about NBA championships. We talk about what it means to win an NBA championship. And the fact that from time to time he faltered, whether he got injured or he didn't produce. But for the most part, when you're talking about a generational point guard, when you're talking about a guy in Chris Paul as the defender that he was, I think he's going down in history with I think he's the only point guard that have 20,000 points. Him and Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook, him, and Oscar Robertson, 20,000 points for his career. Gary Payton, I don't think Gary Payton has 20,000 points.
Steph has 20,000.
No, I don't think he's gotten the 20,000
not yet. He's close.
He's close. Yeah.
Him and DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, I heard DeMar DeRozan have like the same amount of points as Steph.
Yeah, him and DeMar DeRozan.
He has more than Steph, I think.
Him and DeMar DeRozan right there. So when I think about Chris Paul, when I think about Chris Paul as a lead guard, yeah, I think he's generational. I do. I think he's a generational, and I think that in 20 years, again, I think about Ox as a coach. I think there's going to be a coach in the gym coaching his player. This is how Chris Paul did it. This is how your game should be tailored by Chris Paul. That's what I think about when I think about generational talents.
I think so. I think.
Is he at 21,000?
I think those numbers.
I'm sorry.
I think those numbers we was looking at must have just been like regular.
It was probably before this season. It was probably before this season. He wasn't at 20K.
He wasn't.
Okay, so but my thing with Chris Paul is I just want to go back to the book logic. Chris Paul definitely has, if what you call it at the end of the book, that's the glossary,
the index.
The index where he has something in the book where it's kind of like, if you want to be a point guard, you be a point guard like this. You know what I'm saying? How to probe the defense. Like Chris Paul, his IQ, his ability to see the floor, and being a quarterback out there. I think Chris Paul deserves a lot of love for that. He definitely needs a lot of love for that.
I think his chapter goes with John Stockton, Jason Kidd, and Steve Nash. They just get like the point guard chapter. Like I think that's what they get. I don't think they get a dedicated chapter individually.
Yeah.
So
and they got to talk about David Stern in that chapter, in Chris Paul's chapter, because
that
was cold.
That was cold. I feel bad for Chris Paul. I do and I don't. You guys know I don't really have too much love for Chris Paul, and I would not say he's a generational talent, and I do not think he gets a page in the book. But I do feel sorry for him because I feel like Steph Curry just came along and literally took a book. He took his whole chapter, because I think Chris Paul would have eventually at least had a couple pages, maybe even a chapter. Steph came along and just snatched it out of his hands and was just like,
yeah, Steph rewrote the book. That's what he did.
I want to send up public service numbers out here real quick. I need y'all to get this to Steph Curry, because they're on the same team now. Steph, anytime Chris Paul hands you some Gatorade or anything, don't drink it. Don't drink it, Steph.
Flipping them some bullshit. Okay.
Don't go to dinner at Chris Paul's house. Nothing, Steph. Don't drink the juice.
All right, fellas. We got a gang of super chats, and it's about that time to get to them. So
let's do it.
To them. Right from the top, A30 said, "Yo, Ron, we didn't forget about the Harden story you owe us for Saturday." 100. Saturday, I might give it to you guys. But the fact that James Harden isn't generational, I might be wasting my time. I got a better story for some generational guys. I got a Larry Bird story. I got a crazy Larry Bird story. So you guys let me know if you want to hear about Larry Bird or if you want to hear about James Harden.
I want to hear the James Harden story.
See? And that's where I knew. Man. You guys. All right.
Please.
Next super chat, Alan R said Josh Giddey will be a top 10 player in this league, and in the next 5 years will be better than Jalen Green.
Move on.
I don't know if I hate that. I don't think I don't hate that, Moss. I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Okay.
Hey, Morris, it's only right he get. Hey, Chill got to get you back for as many gray hairs as you giving him. Now it's time for him to,
I'm
return
too
the
young
favor.
for gray hairs, though. That's the problem.
Mars, I've been having gray hair since I was 14, bro. You're never too young for gray hair.
Mars, it's a genetic thing, man. Mars, my hair started turning. Mars, do you know that my hair started turning gray? I was 32 years old. My hair started turning gray. That's it. 32. My hair started turning gray.
Well, back then I thought everything just existed in black and white anyway. So
no, it didn't.
All right, so I'm moving on. Pastor Gaines said Harden is an innovator. We'll definitely be talking about him in 20 years. He's the AI of this generation.
damn.
I can agree. They're definitely gonna be talking about James Harden.
Yeah.
I won't. I'll put some earplugs in, but
Derek Washington with the super chat. He said, "Is Derrick Rose generational? People today still talk about what he did in his first 4 years in the league."
He gets a little paragraph about being the youngest MVP, and then he gets
That's
put in the what if section.
That's it.
Taquay White said Tickett's definition of generational is too broad.
His definition of generational is what I use to define superstars.
that's what I was saying earlier. I knew one of y'all had said something about the superstar thing a while ago. So.
Yeah, being like globally recognized, like that's a superstar to me.
Drip Bayless said, "Without Ja, with Ja out, can Triple J take the label as quote unquote the guy?"
Well, he has to.
Plus, Memphis does it by committee more than anything with that crew. It wasn't just Triple. I think Triple J is the guy defensively, and that's how that team was branded. As good as they were good defensively, and they scored when it was necessary. But Triple J was their guy defensively, and he's already their guy.
If hear me out, and I'm not saying I believe this,
man. That's all.
If Memphis were one of the best defenses in the league, I think they were top 5. I don't know where they were top 5.
Right.
And their offense was mediocre, especially in the half court.
Mm-hmm.
And Ja Morant, as we know, is a bad defender, but he's largely responsible for their offense. And Jaren Jackson Jr. is by far their best defender, and he's probably their second best or third best offensive player.
Let's say third, Moss.
How crazy is it to say Jaren Jackson Jr. is Memphis' best player?
It's not crazy at all. And the reason why it's not crazy to say that is because if you look at their record, I mean, they win when Ja's out the lineup. They don't win when Jaren Jackson is out of the lineup.
Okay. I just wanted to do a little temperature check to see how. Okay.
I don't think that's ridiculous. I don't.
So wait, Mars, are you saying that since they got Marcus Smart there now, that these first 25 games, or he's out with 25, that this team they'll be better?
I'm reserving judgment. I don't think Ja clears Jaren Jackson. I don't think Jaren Jackson clears either one. I don't know how I really feel about it, but I do think it's a conversation to be had. I don't think it's just Ja clears Jaren Jackson Jr. and it's not even close, and he's by far the best player on the team. But I am interested to see how these 25 games unfold and how the offense does look without a guy like Ja Morant on the floor.
Well, we already seen it, Mars. We seen him with him out the lineup. I mean, they would. If I'm not mistaken, they were 18, not this season that just passed, last year, they were 18 games over 500 with him out the lineup. This year, they were really good with him out the lineup. I mean, so they win without him. Now, there's a difference between being a better player and being a more valuable player or being a more important player. And I think about Triple J. He may be more important to the Memphis Grizzlies than Ja.
Chilltown, is it possible that Ja comes back 25 games? He's on track. He's not getting in trouble, and Memphis is shopping Ja at the trade deadline.
Well, we still got to sell tickets. We still have to do that. I don't want to disregard.
I mean, Memphis has been the grid house before, though. When they
yes,
didn't
they
have
were
the flashiest of players.
Yes, they were the grid house. However, there's a reason why we on TV as much as we on TV, because we got this high flying, high wire act that we have. So that helps. And Memphis was the grid house. They weren't on TV nearly as much. Mm-hmm. So I mean, we do need we unless somebody calls and gives us a deal that we like, we can't say no to this. We're going to hold on to him. That's why they got Marcus Smart. That's why they got Derrick Rose, because we're trying to protect our investment. For that reason right there. Yeah, that's why we got these guys, because we're trying to save him. Not only are we trying to save him from him, we're trying to protect our investment, because this guy going the way he's going, he's going to be out of the league in a year. He's going to be gone, and everything that we built, everything that we paid for, is going to go up in smoke. That's why they brought in Marcus Smart. That's why they brought in Derrick Rose, because we got to hone this guy in.
All right, y'all going to Chicago, man. They getting Zach LaVine.
Can you imagine John Morant in Chicago? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Keep going. Oh my God.
Popping It Clip said, "Hey yo, shout out to the panel. 206 in the building. Oxymoron, what high school did you guys go to?"
I'm from Sacramento. I'm with the Sac Eye.
Never heard of him. Yo, I went to school a little further down south. I went to Kent Ridge and Kentwood. But shout out all the Seattle high school, shout out all the Kent high school, shout out every high school in the area. One of the best talent beds in the country, Seattle, Washington. In case y'all don't know, Mars, you might not know way out there where you at, but Seattle's where it's at. You'll see when you get here. PC weekend coming up soon. To Quay White with the super chat said, Jeremy Lin got to be generational. He's huge in Asia, and everyone still talks about Linsanity. Got to be a generational player.
Oh, Mass, I didn't know you went to Laguna, Mass. I thought you went to Sheldon.
Liam McLean said Yao Ming is generational, I think.
No.
Based on the popularity argument, probably. Because of how he really kind of brought the game to China.
To see these super chats, I'm sorry.
But I wouldn't consider him generational.
Teddy Hart said Gil speed-wise was a blur in his prime.
He wasn't Jason Kidd, though.
Nick Tri-State with the super chat said Tiny Archibald, most underrated generational talent.
I got two different super chats. The super chat I got is the movie He Got Game is about Stephon Marbury. No, it is not. No, it is not about Stephon Marbury. Stephon Marbury's father did not kill his mother. That's not true. So kill it.
Liam McClain with another super chat said, when someone's getting cooked, there should be a barbecue graphic.
No, go ahead and make that barbecue graphic.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, and these chats, they're gonna pop up a little slow, but I'm gonna still run through them. The chat will come up on the screen. You'll see it when you see it. Popping It Clips with another super chat. He said, Ticket, Damo, Ox, Chill, Fluent, Ron, Mars Dub, Low, Shiloh. That's it. That's the panel. That's all we want. That's all we want. No more FYF chumps on the show. Sorry, not sorry.
Damn. Look at Shiloh getting some love to panel.
Check him out.
Oh, Shiloh, he never need to be on TV ever again.
they mentioned him on here though. Here you go, right here. Here it goes, right here.
Tom Porter, they need to get him the hell up out of here.
He went last, but he made the cut though.
Hold on, what cut?
Hey, Ticket, I knew that was gonna wake you up.
Popping in Clips cut.
I did too. As soon as I heard that, I was like, "I'm Ticket. Don't worry."
Man, you gonna lost your damn mind.
All right, fellas, keeping it pushing.
That boy, hold on.
Mighty Lambo.
Hey, Ron, that boy still hoping and praying. I'm gonna send him $500. He's still hoping and praying every day that deal go down. He in the bed.
Wait. Ticket, are you saying you gonna crawfish on the bet?
No, I ain't. No, I'm saying he praying the bet go down so I can send him that money so he can pay his rent.
That was the trade. That was the trade. Okay, my bad. Okay.
Yo, Almighty Lambo said you let Ticket talk over Chill, then ice him before he can respond. That's crazy.
That's because Steve Jobs in the back. He's scared of Ticket.
You scared to take Ticket up? Right now. Hey, don't threaten Steve. Steve a wild dude.
Nerds,
don't ice me, Steve. I'm just playing.
Do not let nerds fool you. Nerds is with the drama. They are.
I'm just playing, Steve.
Hey, Ron, I gotta ask Bob one quick question. Put the clown emoji on Bob. Yo, look, I gotta ask Bob one question though, man. Is this shit still going?
Yo, look, be dirty.
So I gotta ask Bob a question, man. Hey Bob. So they said to me yesterday when we came in here. This is just real quick, Ron. They said, "Oh well, Jordan Poole, he got what he had coming to him, man. He violated Draymond. He called him a B." And I said, "Well, why he ain't do nothing with Tristan Thompson? Punch him in the face with the basketball." Oh, Ticket, that was during the game. Hey Bob, didn't Draymond Green call KD a B during the game and try to fight him during the game?
In his face, he was
in his face during the game
on the bench.
Yeah. Y'all Ethan, sit y'all punk asses down somewhere. You can't do this with me. I can go all day.
Fuck, bud.
About him. Eli the Misfit said, with that logic, KD won 2 Finals MVPs on a stacked team with 1 MVP. Eli the Misfit also doubled down and said, hey, what if doesn't change what you've done? 2-time champ.
Talk to him.
That 2014 ring is not getting Kawhi Leonard more sentences in the book. It's not. We're not giving Chauncey Billups sentences in the book because he won a ring as a Finals MVP in 04. So it's not doing much.
See, look, y'all. That's Mars' version of the book. Y'all read my version.
Yeah, but you love Chauncey Billups.
Big time.
I don't love him. I do too. I'm a big Chauncey Billups fan, but I don't love him that much. Let's chill out.
He ain't getting multiple.
Y'all gonna see a Pedro Stojakovic page. I might squeeze Karan Butler in.
It's a role player book for Ox. It's a role player book.
Let me guess. You gonna have Bobby Portis and Thaddeus Young in there.
Oh, you already know.
Otto Porter Jr.
That's by the way, Mars. Yesterday, that conversation that y'all were having about him not giving like the Indiana team credit. Thaddeus Young was the second best player. With Victor Oladipo. Yeah, he was the second best player.
You think that's good enough to be considered a better team than the Cavs?
Well, we're talking about 2 mid teams at that point. I mean, Cavs were the 4th seed and Indy was the 5th seed. So it wasn't like the Cavs were the 1 seed and they had to go through Indy. They were 2 mid teams.
So the mid team with the better player won.
That's it.
And they went 7 games.
Yeah, that was it.
Bit overrated.
I'm gonna have a sequel to the book, Ron. It's called the Hedo Turkey Glue book. Heat stroke turkey glue.
He gets a whole book. That's crazy.
Chilltown's favorite super chatter, Leaf Diggy, said Kawhi's career is closer to Eli Manning's.
No, it isn't. Because Eli Manning did not. No, that is terrible. Leaf. Because Kawhi Leonard actually got hurt. Eli Manning played way more.
Eli the Misfit said facts. Why does what ifs change what you accomplished?
He said it did.
Love the game with the super chat said Mars is tripping. Kawhi is the best on-ball defender, one of the best scorers ever, accomplished more than most players in less time. Kawhi is top 25.
For sure, top 25.
Besides the 25 thing, nothing you said is anything I disagree with. But I'm tripping, I guess.
Keeping it pushing, King Jag said Kawhi generational. He wasn't just defense. He wasn't just injured all the time. He's elite on both sides. Unfortunately injured timely.
No, he was always injured. That's just revisionist history.
Yeah, it's a lot of players that were unfortunately injured that never got credit. We saw that happen with old boy from Portland. Brandon Roy, he got hurt, career got cut off. That's it. I mean, it is what it is, man.
Brandon Roy wasn't as good as Kawhi Leonard.
Y'all praising Kawhi for 2 seasons of work, and he ain't even play a full season. Like, I don't respect that, bro.
And Kawhi Leonard was maybe elite on both ends for 2 years.
How you don't respect him because he got hurt? Like he could control.
No, I'm not saying because I'm saying because y'all talking about a small body of work, bro. When we had dudes in NBA history that did this for years, we had dudes that did this for 6, 7, 8 years period that was playing games. We had dudes that was really great defensively. How many games was Scottie Pippen missing all those years? He was making first team all defense, and he could have been Scottie Pippen in this era and the Kawhi's era would have been probably one of the best defenders in the league too. He would have been
the defensive player of the year.
Come on, man. And he would have been playing the games. We can't praise a dude who's missing all those games, Bob, and we praising these dudes for missing all these games and getting these awards. Come on, because if he was playing,
go ahead. This the only pushback I got on that Ticket because I get what you're saying. We praising a small body of work. So I just like to use this analogy. Do I want 6 ounces of filet mignon or 6 fried bologna sandwiches? I don't really eat bologna no more. So just give me that 6 ounces of filet mignon. You know what I'm saying? I don't need all that. I don't need all that. If you do what Kawhi did in the time he did it, I would rather have that career than somebody that played 14 years and played 60 games each of those years and just wasn't as good as Kawhi Leonard. That's my only thing. That's it. I just think Kawhi was that good while he was on the court.
I ain't saying he ain't good. I do think he's a great player. I ain't saying he ain't cold. I'm just saying I'm telling the truth, man. Can't give guys credit for part-time work.
No, I can go with that. I can get with that for sure. I'm not eating no 5 bologna sandwiches no more. Chat, no, I'm not eating.
Raw with the super chat said, "I agree with Ticket. Generational means they should transcend the generation. Mike, Kobe, Shaq, Bron, Curry, Duncan, arguably Durant, I believe are the only 90s through 2010s era generational talents." Eli the Misfit said, "Makes sense, Mars."
How did I not make sense?
Eli the Misfit also said, What's on your page is your story. Kawhi's story is less due to injury. Makes sense, Mars. I see what you mean."
Huh?
I don't know what that means neither.
What's on your page is your story. Okay. And Kawhi's story is less due to injury. Makes sense, Mars.
Oh,
I see what you mean.
Yes, his story. Yes. Yes. I understand. Thank you. He's saying I'm right.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense, Mars. I see what you mean, right?
Teddy Hart said, "I swear to God, if y'all say CP3 ain't generational, I'm going to lose it."
I hope you lost it, brother.
It's just Jose said, "Generational talent definition equals the gap they are able to create within their era and whether that is able to be duplicated by others." That sound good? Question mark. Thinking emoji.
To be able to create within their era and whether it's be able to duplicate by others. Right. So it transcends.
Yeah,
I can get with that. I can get with that.
Raw said, "You can be a part of the story of the NBA and not be generational. Nash, Westbrook, Harden ain't generational, but they are a part of the story for sure."
There's a difference between being a part of the story and being the story can't go on without you. You can get mentioned, like when we're talking about, for example, the 04 Pistons, we're gonna talk about Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Ben Wallace. But the story can also go on if you don't bring up Chauncey Billups. It can go on. You're not going to miss a whole chunk of NBA history if you don't bring him up. Whereas if you try and tell the story of NBA basketball by bringing up LeBron James, you're just not telling the story accurately. Right. That's the difference.
That's a whole chapter of the book you're leaving out. You can't do that.
Just slight pushback. I get what you're saying. We don't have to individually point out Chauncey and those guys, but we do have to talk about those Detroit Pistons, though.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I said with Nash. That's why I said with Nash, I think it's the Phoenix Suns you have to bring up, but you don't have to just speak about Nash for a whole page or whatever. Same with the Pistons. I think you talk about the team, but you don't need to give a whole dedicated section to Chauncey Billups. That's what I'm saying. Some teams and then some players get their own. Yeah,
I got you. I'm with you.
Baby Liger said, "Hey, chill. Is it safe to 03 through 11? I think he's saying, is it safe to say 03 through 11 and 12 through now are two different players?" And Ron, you better ask Chill this.
It's about LeBron. So it's 03 to 2011 LeBron, and then 2012 to 2023 LeBron, two different players.
Yes, they are completely different players.
There you go.
James expanded his game. He saw that the game was going the way it was going with the long ball, so he started shooting the long ball more. He knew he had to put a mid-range consistently in his game. So, I mean, he got smarter. So 100%. The guy from 2003 to 2010 is not the same as the guy from 2000 or 2012 up until now. These two dudes are two different guys.
Chilltown, was Dennis Rodman generational?
Damn right.
Yes.
Hot Rod was. You see dudes out here putting on fingernail polish and all that other stuff now, right?
But Jalen Green and Dennis Rodman.
Like we was tripping back then. Like today, Dennis Rodman might be the biggest star in the NBA.
Man, he would be a rock star with these clowns.
Yes, he would be.
KB24 said if Kobe wins 3 chips in a row from 2008 to 2010, he's top 3 of all time. I'm assuming.
Different conversation about Kobe Bryant. I'll tell you that. Hell yeah, we having a way different conversation about him.
He's already number 6, man. So
back to back repeats. And if they had won it 3 years in a row, he probably is the Finals MVP 3 years in a row, plus being the league MVP. Yeah, man, we having a way different conversation about it.
Y'all gonna have to call Kobe to go for that after that one.
Next super chat from Manka, whatever it may be. Manka, I'm assuming. He said, if Bron and MJ ain't exist, would Kareem be the GOAT or would it be another player?
Bill Russell. It's Bill Russell right now. So, and Bron and MJ do exist. So,
that's what I was about to say. Mars like Kareem already the GOAT. What are you talking about?
Yeah, like, with them existing, Bill Russell's the GOAT. So, if they didn't exist, Bill Russell would still be the GOAT. It would just be more definitive.
So they would, other people would just be competing for 2 and 3.
Yes.
Got you. Okay. NJ Dre 1804 said, y'all should do an NBA all-time hometown draft. NJ Dre 1804 with another supersat said, I'm from Jersey and my hometown team will be Kyrie, J.R. Smith, David West, Cat, and Shaq. Chill, help me out with the others. LOL, I'm 29.
So KJ, who he said? He said Cat, David West. David West from Jersey? I did not know David West was from Jersey. Who else from Jersey?
I didn't know Cat was from Jersey.
Yeah, he's from Plainfield. Tim Thomas from Jersey. We already know Kyrie Irving is from Jersey. Who else is from Jersey?
Because I'm putting Tim Thomas and David West on the team over Cat.
Tim Thomas is from Jersey.
Cat's not generation.
Mars, what?
He said he is.
Best shooting big man of all time.
He's generational Marshmallow soup.
He said he changed the game.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it changed the game. So you could be soft and get paid.
Mm-hmm. Terry the Head from Jersey. David Rivers from Jersey. Roger Rose from Jersey. Yeah. Bobby Hurley from Jersey.
Shout out Bobby Hurley.
Yep.
Pretender Philosopher said, do any of you think LeBron deserved the Finals MVP in one of the years his team lost?
No.
Giving the Finals MVP to Jerry West was the worst thing that they could have done.
Yes.
That was the worst.
Disgrace on basketball.
Yeah, that was the worst.
Love the Game said, is Jokic a generational player? One of the best offensive players ever, a 2-time MVP, and a top 10 passer ever. Also won a ring.
Coming into the game, he wasn't. But I think he did change that narrative.
I think his chapter is being written.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I want to say, yeah, when y'all start just definitively saying he's a top 10 passer, top 10 offensive player of the game, then it makes me just get mad and say no. You know what I'm saying?
Big Ox, the difference is that he's proven that. It's not like we just saying. It's not like I'm just saying that just to say it. No, I mean,
I beg the difference.
This is his body of work. This is what he and on top of that, he's still doing it.
How was he top 10?
We just reaching this. So,
yeah, fellas,
like I know we got to go. I know
we can't get into the full top 10 and whatnot.
Yeah,
but one of these days, Ox, your question will be answered by everybody up here.
Mm-hmm.
Big Roan 20 said, is Barkley generational to y'all?
Yes.
He gets put in the rules. He gets put in the section of people who made the NBA change some rules.
No, he's generational. He's generational because you got dudes that's coming at them still like Zion. So I mean, his style is generational. I mean, they compare Zion to him. So, and that's 30 years. That's 30 years later. So
that's what I was about to say. Who we seen like Barkley before Barkley showed up? Who was Barkley?
Nobody. He didn't see nobody 6'5".
Since Barkley, who is Barkley? Nobody. We ain't seen nobody like that. 6'5", 6'6", clean glass, playing transition like that. We ain't seen nobody like that. I haven't seen nobody like that. Yes, he is a generational talent.
He's in the rule. He's in the change. Made the NBA change the rules section. That's where he is.
Troll alert.
They did change the rules.
Yeah, we're talking about just bouncing the basketball. That ain't the same thing, Moss, as being a generational talent.
Moving along, y'all. Eli the Misfit said, Drew Gooden, Ox, ? In your role
No, he not getting in my book. No, I don't know.
Sasha Pavlovich?
Vladimir Radmanovich? Andre Bargnani.
Oh,
T. Reeve
yes.
with the super chat said
Grievous Vasquez.
Facts. Grievous Vasquez. Facts.
Rasheed Wallace and Vince Carter were generational talents. Do you guys think they failed in achieving as much as they could have?
They could have been more, yeah.
Rasheed Wallace, definitely.
I got love for Sheed. Got big love for Sheed.
Reggie Red said Bob's version of the book will have Reggie Theus.
Oh, man. We love Reggie Theus.
Kid Trunks 44 said a ticket and panel. Who's better and better for a team? Tony Kukoc or Draymond? Money hungry or Draymond money hungry Green? I got Tony.
Tony.
I think Draymond did more, and he was more what he did for that Warriors team. Like Tony Kukoc didn't have to do that much for that Bulls team.
All right, y'all. Moving along. Last but certainly not least, our last super chat of the day. Richard Ingram said, "If every NBA team could play its all-time best players in their prime, who would win the finals? Players have to play for the team they spent the most time at. Dark Horse, 76ers. Wilt, Chuck, Embiid, AI, Moses, Dr. J."
Don't the Lakers just wash everyone every single time?
Smoke everybody, Mars. They destroy everybody.
No comment.
All right, y'all. You know what time it is. You know where we gonna be. Same time tomorrow, Friday. Y'all pull up.
Pull up. Y'all know where to find us at. Be easy. Fluent and chill tonight, 9:00 Eastern. Come through.
I might come cook you two buffoons.
You ain't gonna come cook anybody. No,
Steve,
not.
it's a wrap.
You make sure you keep them glasses.